I can extract health points. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 26 Airborne. Brother Dongliu, I'm planning to form a team, but I'm short of someone right now. I wonder if you're interested in joining. Not interested. Before Li Xiao finished speaking, Yun Dongliu refused directly, with almost no hesitation in his tone. Li Xiao was helpless. He finally met someone who was quite interested in him, but he didn't expect it to be so difficult to get close to him. After leaving the Zicheng Bank building, Li Xiao quickly found a new resource point, which was a rare mineral resource point with 300 points. He quickly arranged the defense, and Yuming took out a cutting machine and started working. 3 shots into the day, Li Xiao fell asleep unknowingly. When he woke up, he saw a message from Liu Nian telling him that there were some things at the base that he needed to go back to deal with, but he left the 2 engineers behind and would come back in the evening after fighting in the middle of the night last night. The Black Eagle Empire seemed to have failed to invade the city in the end. Xianyu's defense was perfect. Even with 3 times the number of troops and airstrikes, they still could not break through the defense line. This also allowed Li Xiao to collect resources safely. At night, Li Xiao was chewing compressed dry food and checking today's income. More than 400 resources from Wufang Town and Banshan Iron and Steel Plant had been brought back to the base by Zhang Lang and another engineer. Zhao Fipeng luo didn't find Luo Feng's base. During this period, he saw 2 other people's bases, and he marked them one by one. Now that the search scope has been further expanded, there should be news soon. Alice, today is another day of dismal earnings. Di Yun looked at Li Xiao, who was frowning, and said seriously, "Boss, you are actually quite capable of grabbing Zicheng Bank, maybe." Li Xiao laughed mischievously. If this was playing a game, he would definitely not give up. But now that he is in a different world, he is playing a game of worldliness. He has made too many enemies and is cold-blooded and can easily be shot at by others. Just as he was talking, Yan Yizhao, who had been on guard outside, ran back. He pointed upward and said to Li Xiao, "Boss, there is something moving in the sky." After hearing what he said, Li Xiao immediately signaled everyone to be quiet. Sure enough, he heard a faint thunder-like sound in the sky, and it became louder and louder. It's a plane. Everyone ran to the bedside of the hiding building and looked up at the sky. Under the bright moon, several large aircraft were passing over Zicheng at low altitude and speed. Is such a big plane a bomber or a transport plane? Li Xiao was a little confused. If it was a bomber, the altitude felt too low. If it was a transport plane, there was no need to fly over Zicheng. Although the air defense of the Xianyu troops may have been destroyed, what if there is still a man-portable surface-to-air missile? While everyone was guessing, someone suddenly shouted, "Look! Parachute!" Li Xiao was shocked when he heard the word parachute. Fuck, airborne troops. As the first parachute opened, it looked like flowers were blooming in the sky, filled with paratroopers. Through the moonlight, you can even see the white parachutes clearly. No. It's the Black Hawk Empire's airborne troops. The Xianyu troops will definitely be unable to defend themselves this time. We need to withdraw quickly. Li Xiao immediately realized something was wrong and quickly ordered everyone to pack their things and went straight to school. As soon as he left the building, Li Xiao saw countless barrages on the ground not far away flying towards the Imperial airborne troops in the air. They were the anti-aircraft machine guns of the Xianyu troops. If the Xianyu Republic could rely on the terrain to resist the Black Hawk Empire troops before, now that the airborne troops have entered the city and attacked from both inside and outside, the troops of the Xianyu Republic have basically been defeated. A total of 8 large transport planes delivered at least 1,000 airborne troops at once, and Xianyu's troops were unable to defend them. The airborne troops landed too fast. Li Xiao and the others ran a few hundred meters before they saw the airborne troops who had just landed and were unpacking their parachutes. Kill him. Li Xiao didn't hesitate and let Di Yun kill the enemy in one shot. But there were too many soldiers who landed. They walked and exchanged fire along the way, constantly engaging the enemy. In just 1 kilometer, more than a dozen Imperial soldiers were killed. But when they rushed near the school, they saw an entire company of Xianyu troops blocking the 2 streets that passed by the school. These Xianyu soldiers, wearing starry sky camouflage and with incomplete equipment, firmly and calmly built a defense line with a large number of abandoned vehicles. What to do? Boss, Di-Yun looked at the defense line in front of him. Not to mention his 7,000 blood points, even 180,000 blood points would only take a few seconds. Li Xiao pondered for a moment, then walked to the corner and shouted loudly, "Brothers from the Shanghai Republic across the way. We are the local armed forces. We have killed more than a dozen airborne troops from the Black Eagle Empire. Now they are gathering to request let us go." After Li Xiao finished shouting, he strained his ears to listen. It took a while before a reply came from the other side. "This place has been sealed off. Please find a nearby house to take shelter. Looking for private housing? Damn, I'm not a civilian either." Li Xiao was extremely depressed, and he shouted again without giving up, "You let us go, I can defend with you." This time, what Li Xiao got was not a shout, but a hail of heavy machine gun bullets, which hit the wall and made him eat a mouthful of ashes. Depend on. Li Xiao had no choice but to let the troops go to a 12-story hotel building near the street. "Zhang Shuang and you two are guarding the hotel door. Don't let any Black Hawk troops in." Yes. After entering the hotel, Li Xiao quickly arranged the defense tasks. Zhang Shuang and 2 infantrymen were responsible for forming crossfire relying on the counter, fountain pool, and rest area in the hotel lobby to prevent the enemy from invading. After that, Li Xiao said to Yan Yizhao, "You go directly to the top floor and give priority to sniping the heavy firepower targets that invaded the hotel." "Understood." "Di-Yun, you take this new recruit to guard the emergency stairs and cover Zhang Shuang and others in the battle." Yes, this time he only brought 8 people in total, and there were thousands of enemies in the city, and there were 3 full-strength regiments outside. Although they were not targeting him, the fire at the city gate affected the innocent people, and he was under too much pressure. "Yiming and you, come with me to the 5th floor to observe the enemy situation." Li Xiao pointed to the signalman and motioned for the 2 of them to follow him. As soon as he got to the bed on the 5th floor, Li Xiao saw a large dark shadow in the south rushing towards the school. As soon as they turned the corner, the Xianyu troops opened fire. More than 3 heavy machine guns of unknown model and more than a dozen squad machine guns fired at the same time, and thousands of bullets were fired, sweeping down a large area on the spot. At the same time, the small caliber mortar positions in the rear also opened fire, and the sound of bang 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 continued, and one after another, with a whistling sound, fell to the already marked bullet point. In just 1 minute of fighting, the Black Hawk Empire was caught off guard, and nearly 2 rows of corpses were lying on the street. Chapter 27 Street Fighting. The Black Hawk Empire was hit hard and felt dizzy, so it quickly retreated to the corner of the street, probably after some discussion among the commanders. These hundreds of soldiers were divided into 2 groups and moved up from the alleys on both sides of the main road. A considerable number of them went straight to the high-rise buildings on the street. But the defense line of the Shanghai Republic was also laid for more than 100 meters, and the exits of the alleys on both sides were also blocked by gun lines, and the Black Hawk troops were repelled again. In desperation, the Imperial troops began to occupy the buildings and streets on both sides of the street, preparing to gradually approach the defense line from a high position. A platoon of troops was also arranged in the building where Li Xiao was located. He was less than 60 meters away from the defense line of Xianyu, and one side of the window faced the direction of the school. This platoon of airborne soldiers did not realize that there would be an ambush in the hotel. The leader pushed open the glass door and rushed in. Zhang Shuang, who was in the dark, pulled the trigger without hesitation. Puff puff puff, orange flames spurted out in the darkness, and 2 Imperial soldiers were shot into sieves on the spot. The Imperial soldiers who entered later hurriedly raised their guns to fight back. At this time, the crossfire from the left and right sides made the enemies fall to the ground before the bullets were fired. The Black Hawk troops quickly retreated when they saw that the momentum was not right, and then a large number of grenades and stun bombs were thrown in. The muffled sound of the stun bombs in the room made Zhang Shuang and the other 2 almost unable to hear the movement at the gate, and the lethal fragments of the grenades also made it difficult for them to fire. After the first wave of assault weapons were thrown, the Black Hawk troops tried to break in again. This time, Zhang Shuang and his men failed to shoot it the first time, but Di-Yun and another infantryman who was in the side shot. Relying on his high blood volume, Di-Yun directly stood up and exchanged fire with the enemy. He only used 400 points of damage to replace the enemy's 3 assaulters. At the same time, Yiming, who was upstairs, threw a C4 explosive at the door downstairs under Li Xiao's command. The violent explosion shattered the windows of the shops next door, killing 4 or 5 people on the spot and injuring more than a dozen people. The failure of this platoon's assault did not attract the attention of the rest of the Black Hawk troops, because they had already engaged in a full-scale battle with the Cheyenne side. Continue the attack. Under the commander's order, another squad of assault troops began to attack the hotel. This time, they sent a soldier to carry a rocket launcher in the back row, aiming at Zhang Shuang's position. Not good. Zhang Shuang is in trouble, Li Xiao roared, and the gun in his hand fired at the soldier repeatedly, but his shooting skills were so poor that none of the bullets hit the target for several consecutive times. The power of the rocket launcher is more than 20 times that of the fragmentation grenade. Although Zhang Shuang's health was increased to 4,000 points before this, if this shot hits the target, Zhang Shuang will lose his combat effectiveness even if he doesn't digest. As Li Xiao opened the information panel to find Zhang Shuang's information and replenish his health, a gunshot sounded above his head, and a bullet hit the soldier's arm. Due to this interference, the rockets launched at the same time immediately deviated from the target and hit the wall of the lobby, blowing a big hole on the spot. At this time, Yiming's second C4 explosive also fell, and there was another thunderous explosion, and the entire assault squad was written off. 2 squads were killed, and the remaining squad was either injured or disabled, so the commander had to retreat immediately. Quick! Clean up the battlefield quickly and continue to be alert. There was no one downstairs, but the fighting in other places was extremely fierce. After the 5 people downstairs cleaned up the bodies at the door, they took some weapons and all the captured ammunition to the second floor. Li Xiao found that it was very difficult to defend the lobby on the first floor. It would be better to retreat to the second floor to guard the corridor. The enemy's gun line could not be deployed in the narrow corridor, while their own throwing weapons and firepower could be highly concentrated. Zhang Shuang and the other 3 continue to monitor the corridor, and the rest of the people attack the outer enemies. Yes, understood. After the Black Hawk troops adopted the method of high-point gun mounting and ground breakthrough, the Cheyenne Republic seemed exhausted. In order to suppress the firepower coverage at high points, they dispersed the firepower on the ground. The 200-man assault team of the Black Hawk Empire rushed forward through street shops and vehicles. Even though they were attacked by mortars and rockets from the Cheyenne Republic, they were still not scared. Li Xiao and his men worked hard on the building, causing considerable casualties to the assault troops at the front of the Black Hawk, especially Yang Yizhao, who specializes in shooting the injured, almost one by one. Of course, their attack also attracted the anger of the Black Hawk Empire troops. Rocket launchers from multiple squads and platoons were fired at them in succession, but they had a clear vision and could observe the incoming rockets. Even if they failed to dodge in time, Li Xiao gave each of them at least 2,000 points of health, so even if they were scratched by rocket shrapnel, they would not die on the spot. But even though Li Xiao and his men had killed 70 or 80 Black Hawk troops in total, they still failed to prevent the defense line of the Cheyenne troops from being broken. After nearly half of the 400-strong Black Hawk troops died, they finally wiped out the Cheyenne desperate troops and headed straight to the north of the city. Strange. Why don't they come to annihilate us? Maybe destroying us is insignificant compared to their goal. Li Xiao shook his head. Anyway, Zichen will probably change hands before dawn. When everyone went downstairs, they could already hear the roar of artillery fire in the north of the city. The airborne troops had completely eroded the defense line of the Cheyenne troops from the inside. At this time, Li Unian also sent him a voice message. Lao Xiao, you're not still in there, are you? I've already evacuated. Hurry up, Zichen will fall soon. I'm also running away. It's a pity. I still want to visit Zichen every day in the future. Li Xiao said a few nonsense words and hung up, and led everyone to start cleaning the battlefield on the street. Anyway, these corpses and equipment would disappear after 24 hours. If you don't pick them up, you won't pick them up. Since it was too slow to collect 200 to 300 corpses, he simply used last night's and tonight's recruitment orders together. 6 more people would mean 6 more pairs of hands. Among these 6 people, 3 have infantry professions, 1 is an engineer, 1 is a scout, and the remaining 1 is a communications soldier. After about half an hour of cleaning, Li Xiao's backpack contained 200 assault rifles, 3 heavy machine guns, 5 squad machine guns, and more than 7,000 rounds of rifle and machine gun ammunition. There are also 2 rocket launchers and 2 mortars. Unfortunately, the mortar shells have been used up by the Cheyenne troops, leaving only 3 rockets. Now I know what it means to have no guns or cannons. The enemy built them for us. With this wave of arms and trophies, Li Xiao's trip tonight was worthwhile. They crossed the street and climbed over the empty wall to the previous sewer. At this time, there happened to be a team going down into the sewer. He took a closer look and hey, guess what? It's actually Yongchang Liu again. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28 Selling Stolen Goods. Yongchang Liu lost 2 men in the previous battle with Chen Ji, but there are still 12 men now. It seems that he has used the conscription order for tonight, haha. Brother Dong Liu, we are really destined to meet. We have met 3 times in 24 hours, indeed, we are destined to meet. Yongchang Liu looked at the dark faces of Li Xiao and said lightly, it seems that you have fought a hard battle, and there are no casualties. It's okay, I guess yours is about the same. Li Xiao saw that Yongchang Liu's troops were also a little embarrassed, and some of their equipment seemed to have fallen off. I'll go first. The battle in the north of the city should be over soon. I wish you good luck. Although it was the 3rd meeting, Yongchang Liu still had no extra words to say. He greeted his troops and went down directly. Li Xiao shrugged his shoulders. He felt that he was getting used to this style of tone that others owed him 8 million. The 2 teams were one after the other in the sewer. The sound of gunfire above their heads became smaller and smaller. They all knew that when the sun rose tomorrow morning, the Black Eagle flag would rise on the top of the city. After getting out of the gap in the fence, Li Xiao looked at Yongchang Liu who was tidying up his clothes, and couldn't help but said, Brother Dong Liu, you see, this is the 3rd time we have met, which proves that we are still destined to be together. Why don't you join my team? It's better for everyone to take care of each other than to work alone. The future team is definitely the general trend, it's good like this. I won't do anything that attracts the wind. Yongchang Liu seemed to have said the reason why he didn't want to join, but Li Xiao thought that this was definitely not the main reason. Hey, it's okay. Even if the deal doesn't work out, the friendship still exists. I don't think you will refuse to add me as a friend, right? Yongchang Liu pondered for a moment and replied, okay. Li Xiao was happy in his heart. Once a friend is added, he will have feelings for him over time. He is not afraid that he will not add. Hey, it seems that this word is wrong. In order to avoid a goal being too big, Li Xiao waited for Yongchang Liu to leave for 20 minutes before he set off. At the residential building where he had been hiding before, Li Xiao met Liunian. This guy is really nice. He was worried that he would not be able to get out, so he waited here for several hours. Liunian, do you know Yongchang Liu? You mean the robot last night? Liunian frowned and said, what happened? Did he make trouble for you? No, I met him twice today. After much persuasion, he finally agreed to add me as a friend. Add you as a friend? That robot turned out to be a bit thoughtful. Li Xiao then told Liunian about what happened last night and today. This. Old Xiao, you are too awesome. 8 people killed 70 or 80 people. You picked up all the equipment on the street. You made a fortune this time. What fortune? Those rifles are now rotten in the trading center. They can't be sold at all. I just stored them. If they are useful in the future, I can take them out for emergency. After all, although the durability of weapons is slow to consume, it will still be consumed. Liunian nodded, but then again, I didn't realize that Yongchang Liu is still good at fighting tricks. The sun rose, and the smoke of Zicheng had not yet dissipated. It was already 10 o'clock in the morning when Li Xiao and his team returned to the base. After returning to the headquarters, Li Xiao took a shower first, and then went to the restaurant to eat the special meal prepared by Du Zidong. Du Zidong often went to the Northeast River to fish these 2 days. Because the ecology is so good, he can often catch big fish weighing more than 10 kilograms, and bring them back to make soup. After eating and drinking, Li Xiao began to deal with the spoils of war last night. First, the rifles. Since the warehouse has not been built yet, he can only put them all on the shelves for processing. So far, he has not sold many of the rifles he had hung up before, but fortunately the trading center does not limit the number of orders. Then came the heavy machine guns and squad machine guns. This thing can be used by infantry, but there are no professional machine gunners who can play it, so many players are also buying these 2 powerful weapons in order to increase firepower. Squad machine guns are not worth much, and a single one is no problem for 40 or 50 star coins, and the heavy machine gun can be sold for a little more than 100. As for the more than 7,000 rounds of bullets, Li Xiao also sold them all. The ones seized at the transfer station have not been used up yet. During this period, he basically fought to support the war. Then there was the mortar. Li Xiao didn't know how much he should put on it. After thinking about it, he considered that it was a support firepower after all, so 300 points would be worth it. So he put up those mortar tubes for 300 points each. As for the rocket launcher, since there were still 2 rounds of ammunition, he planned to use it himself. It would be difficult to get rid of these things after they were put up. He was in urgent need of resources to build warehouses and military academies, so he had to use his old capital first. As the resources for base upgrades increased exponentially, the price of resources rose steadily. Originally, 1 star coin could buy more than 10 points of goods, but now it is only 5 points, and it is even lower when it is exchanged for rare ore. Li Xiao spent 2,000 star coins to exchange for 5,000 steel and 3,000 fuel, and the remaining 400 star coins were exchanged for 1,200 points of rare ore. This amount of resources was enough to build warehouses and military academies. The 6th level base had 10,000 points of steel and fuel, and 5,000 points of rare ore. He couldn't raise them for a while. After these 2 buildings are built, there will be some resources left to build all-terrain vehicles. In the past 3 days, the factory has produced 6 vehicles. Although the speed is slow, it can still keep up with the pace. After dealing with these things, Li Xiao began to sleep. He didn't sleep well in the past 2 nights amid the sound of gunfire. He felt that his body was about to collapse. Report. Squad leader Zhao Fipeng, please answer the phone. I didn't know how long I slept. In a daze, Li Xiao heard someone shouting outside the door, and then he got up. Opening the door, the signalman handed over the satellite phone with both hands and said, Squad leader Zhao Fipeng said there is an emergency to report to you. Zhao Fipeng? Has he found Luo Feng's base? Li Xiao thought to himself, and took the satellite phone and asked anxiously, Zhao Fipeng, what's the situation, boss? I have locked Luo Feng's base. But now there is a new situation. Speak. Luo Feng's Xianchao team seems to be more than the ones we killed. At this time, there are at least more than a platoon of soldiers protecting him within his base. A platoon? What the hell is this Luo Feng? How can he have such a strong appeal? When Luo Feng first appeared, there were 3 or 4 players following him, but after being wiped out by him a few days ago, there are still people helping him now. This is enough to show that the other party has strong communication skills. Okay, you continue to monitor and count their firepower configuration. I will bring people here soon. Luo Feng suffered a great loss at his hands, and his woman died. Needless to say, he will definitely seek revenge on Li Xiao instead of waiting for Luo Feng to come to him. Li Xiao decided to eliminate this hidden danger first. Still with the original team, Li Xiao first let the main force ride ATV all-terrain vehicles to set off, and he and the signalman waited on the spot. Chapter 29. This wave is called closing the door to fight the tiger. Drive along the road to the Banshan steel plant and then go out 16 kilometers. It takes less than an hour to travel more than 30 kilometers in one direction. In 3 hours, his troops have arrived at a place about 200 to 300 meters near the Luofiang base to assemble and wait for orders. It's still faster to have a vehicle. Compared with the previous hiking, the time is saved by more than 80%. When Li Xiao arrived at the assembly point, it was already dark. Zhao Fipeng started to report when he saw him. Boss. Luo Feng's base is currently at level 4. His own troops have 7 people, including 1 logistics soldier, 2 engineers, and the rest are infantry and scouts. Where are his reinforcements? The reinforcements come from 4 bases, and each base has sent out a squad of troops. At first I thought they were just assisting in defense, but now it seems that they are also gathering. Li Xiao sneered, they can't wait to get revenge. They should attack the mid-mountain steel plant first, and then find an opportunity to ambush us. What is the firepower configuration of the 4 squads? All infantry, scouts and machine gunners, including 6 machine gunners, with extremely strong firepower. It looks a bit difficult to fight. Li Xiao pondered in his heart, and said after a while, let's keep our troops in place and see what actions they will take. In addition, you continue to use drones to confirm the locations of several other bases. I must destroy this Xianchao team. I have marked it. Boss, you can see it when you open the map, Zhao Fipeng added. Li Xiao opened the map and found that Zhao Fipeng had found 4 locations. These were all found by tracking with drones. They sent troops here every day, and they found them all in 2 days. Well done. Li Xiao punched Zhao Fipeng. I'll ask Du Zidong to bake sesame cakes for you when we get back. Zhao Fipeng has been clamoring to eat Du Zidong's sesame cakes since the first time he ate them, but it took a little time to make them, so Du Zidong didn't do much. Thank you, boss. Zhao Fipeng's eyes lit up immediately when he heard about sesame cakes. Time passed quickly, and when Li Xiao and his friends were having dinner, the opposite base also started to eat in the restaurant. Fipeng, use the low-light night vision device to see if there are any sentries nearby. Li Xiao suddenly thought it was a good idea to sneak attack them while they were having dinner. Confirmed, there is no special situation nearby. After receiving Zhao Fipeng's reply, Li Xiao opened the information panel of the 6 new recruits recruited last night and added 1,000 horsepower to each of them in the battle last night. More than 90 Black Hawk troops were killed, with a total of more than 12,000 health points. With the remaining points, it is nearly 15,000. After adding blood to the new recruits, Li Xiao added another 2,900 blood points to Di Yun, and collected 10,000 points. He will lead the assault later. Di Yun, Yu and Zhang Shuang will lead 2 people as the assault team. Yan Yizhao will ambush outside the east gate, and once we engage in a firefight, you will stab from behind. After arranging the action plan, Li Xiao looked at the remaining life pool. He would not touch the 6,000 blood points for the time being. Since the life pool can offset the damage he suffered, he must leave enough blood for himself to save his life. The wall of Luo Feng's level 4 base is a 2-meter-high concrete brick wall with barbed wire, and there are access control in 4 directions. The assault team composed of Di Yun, Zhang Shuang and 2 infantrymen found that there was no one guarding the west gate after they touched it. After confirming that it was safe, they signaled Li Xiao and others to follow up. I always feel something is wrong. There are so many of them. It's impossible that there is no one guarding the base gate. Li Xiao came to the gate. The restaurant inside was brightly lit. Only the street lights were on in the barracks and the headquarters. Di Yun and his team went straight to the barracks near the headquarters. This is not something that someone who has just suffered a defeat can do. Even those who have no military knowledge know the importance of setting up light and dark sentries. The more he thought about it, the more he felt something was wrong. When he was about to recall the assault team and reconsider the attack plan, a white light suddenly appeared in front of him, and a violent explosion wave spread all around. Di Yun, Zhang Shuang, Li Xiao yelled in fear, but it was too late. The 4 members of the assault team were instantly engulfed by the shock wave. It's C4 cluster explosives, Yiming shouted. Before Li Xiao could see the situation of the explosion point clearly, the firepower from 3 directions instantly forced them to the sentry box on the side of the gate, and the gate on the west side was also closed. Damn! I fell into a trap. Li Xiao broke out in a cold sweat. He was too careless. He thought too simply about Luo Feng. Fortunately, there were several off-road vehicles near the sentry box that could serve as cover, and all 12 people on Li Xiao's side hid behind the vehicles. Bullets hit the vehicles like they were free, and the tires of 4 or 5 vehicles were blown up. They tried to concentrate their firepower to blow up the vehicles to consume the health of Li Xiao and others and destroy their cover. At the same time, Li Xiao heard a familiar voice. Li Xiao. Does this feel good? Today I want you to bury my Xiao AI. Brothers, beat us hard. It was Luo Feng who spoke. At this time, his face was hideous, as if he could eat human flesh at any time. He laughed and said, do you think my scouts are vegetarians? My scouts saw your people wandering in front of me 2 days ago. After that, the firepower of the Xian Chao team became more fierce, and various grenades and stun bombs were thrown in turn. In just a few minutes, all the soldiers around Li Xiao were injured and shot, and their health dropped by 20% to 30%. This won't work. These cars are going to explode soon. We have to find a way quickly. Li Xiao held a large caliber pistol seized from the Luo Feng woman that day and said nervously to Zhao Fipeng, Boss. We need to throw smoke bombs now and evacuate towards the gate. These vehicles will explode and there won't be enough room for us to hide. Okay. Hurry. Under unified orders, they threw out all the 30 or 40 smoke bombs they had captured before. In a moment, the entire west gate area was filled with thick smoke. In this state, let alone at night, it is difficult to see clearly during the day. Don't worry about the smoke. Follow me and cover the shooting. Mo Shuang, drop your men outside the west gate immediately and block their way out. Luo Feng roared on the team channel while leading his squad to fire wildly with machine guns. Within a few seconds, he heard the sound of two off-road vehicles exploding one after another, relying on the cover of smoke bombs. Everyone successfully arrived at the west gate after eating a lot of bullets. However, there was already a Xianchao team waiting here. 5 infantrymen lined up in order and shot at the soldiers who rushed out. However, their bullets hit Li Xiao's troops and did not cause casualties. On the contrary, Zhao Fipeng and another scout reacted quickly and killed the 3 infantrymen who had no cover outside the door with a few bursts of fire. Chapter 38 Fight to the bitter end? Everyone took this opportunity to quickly climb over the gate and prepare to evacuate to the forest, but at this time, a player transferred by Luo Feng had already arrived with a squad of people. When the two sides met, there was almost no cover available, so waves of collisions broke out one after another. Li Xiao's side had a lot of people and a lot of health. In the face-to-face shooting situation, Li Xiao killed his squad at the cost of sacrificing a scout and an infantryman with low health, but the player ran away when he saw that the situation was not going well. Run! Li Xiao had no time to feel sorry for the fallen soldiers and hurriedly called for everyone to evacuate, but at this time he heard a fierce exchange of fire broke out inside the base. They're not dead yet. Li Xiao was overjoyed and shouted quickly, "Brothers! Get in again! Rescue our people! Yes, come on!" Everyone immediately turned around and rushed back into the base without hesitation. At this time, they saw a machine gun in the barracks shooting wildly outside, but no one of the more than 20 soldiers outside could get close. "What's the use of you all? Just rush up and kill him," Luo Feng roared angrily. Because of this one soldier, his plan to attack Li Xiao from both inside and outside failed, and instead he suffered heavy losses. "Commander, the opponent's HP is too thick and you can't hide him at all. If you charge forward, you will die, bastard." The joints of Luo Feng's fists cracked. In the last battle, he found that there was something obviously wrong with the health of Li Xiao's troops, and there was no such thing as a one-for-one confrontation. "Fire the grenades. Fill me with all the grenades." In a moment, more than a dozen grenades were thrown into the barracks, and a series of explosions directly silenced the opponent. "Superior." Luo Feng saw this situation and waved his men to rush in. But right at this stall, there were 2 piercing blasts in the distance, and Luo Feng saw 2 rockets with orange tail flames flying into the crowd rushing towards the barracks. Boom boom. Black smoke encircled the shrapnel and splashed away, knocking down more than a dozen soldiers on the spot. "What's going on?" Luo Feng was stunned. In the blink of an eye, 2/3 of the troops he had an absolute advantage just now were gone. "Charge up! Kill them!" Li Xiao coldly shouted, and everyone rushed forward. Seeing that the situation was not right, Luo Feng quickly summoned the remaining dozen soldiers to return to the defense headquarters. At this time, he had no choice. Once the headquarters exploded, he would still be finished. Li Xiao rushed to the barracks anxiously. The first thing he saw was the bodies of Zhang Shuang and 2 infantrymen lying on the ground. His eyes turned red instantly, and he could not hide the murderous intent in his eyes. Seeing this, Zhao Fipeng hurried inside and saw Di Yun hiding behind the locker covered in blood. He had thrown the machine gun aside and held a Type 05 in his hand. "Boss. Zhang Shuang," Di Yun said in a trembling voice, his eyes full of tears. Li Xiao walked in and pinched Di Yun's shoulders. "Don't be sad, as long as you are still alive, you can avenge them." Di Yun's blood volume of tens of thousands was already less than 1,000 points. Li Xiao did not hesitate to increase the upper limit of 5,000 points again. At this time, he still had 3,000 points in his life pool after adding the ones he had just obtained. "Let's go. Let's kill the gatekeeper." The 2-story independent headquarters building gave Luo Feng the final defensive advantage, but this advantage seemed very helpless when Li Xiao's troops still had an average of 600 health points per person. Especially since the people from the Xianchao team have used up their throwing objects in front. Shock bomb. Relying on the 2 barracks as bunkers, Li Xiao and the others had hundreds of grenades in their hands, like artificially dropped artillery shells, constantly bombarding the headquarters. Although the damage done by fragmentation grenades to buildings is too low, they are very useful for attacking enemies in buildings. Even if the enemies are hiding in the house, there are always grenades that can fly through the unobstructed windows and kill the Xianchao team's enemies. People were killed and injured. After throwing the grenades, Li Xiao gave the order and the troops launched a charge. Di Yun took the lead and rushed into the first floor. People shot at him along the way, but he took them away one by exchanging blood. Until they reached the commander's bedroom on the second floor, Luo Feng was left holding a gun in one hand and a remote control in the other with a ferocious smile on his face. Don't move. Look, what is this? Li Xiao, who fell behind everyone, could tell at a glance that it was a timed C4 explosive detonator. He couldn't help but feel a thump in his heart. It seemed that Luo Feng was really crazy and wanted to die with him, so he calmly took a step back, planning to withdraw first, but sharp-eyed Luo Feng shouted, Li Xiao, if you dare to take another step, labor and management will press down. After hearing this, Li Xiaoping calmed down and said calmly, boy, who are you fooling? How many C4s do you have? Can you kill me? Don't you believe it? Look under the bed and on the ceiling. As soon as Luo Feng spoke, everyone looked around and found 20 or 30 C4 explosive devices, all of which were powered on. Li Xiao was silent when he saw this. He was lucky today. He didn't expect that the other party would come up with such a move to kill everything. It is also to blame that the spark-busting activities in the past 2 days caused C4 explosives to appear in large quantities in the trading center. Li Xiao, I admit that I fell into your hands. Although I don't know what method you used to make your troops so weak, but it doesn't matter. Now you just follow me. Ha ha ha, Luo Feng laughed wildly, and suddenly there was a fierce look in his eyes. Seeing that the situation was not good, Li Xiao shouted, run, bang. Just before people turned around and ran, a gunshot was heard outside, and then there was a click, as if something fell to the ground. Everyone looked over and saw a hand holding a remote control on the ground. This scene shocked everyone, including Luo Feng, who was stunned. Li Xiao looked out the window at the first time, and the one who shot was Yan Yizhao, who was standing on a scrapped car and aiming with a gun. Oh my god, Li Xiao felt that his legs were out of control. Yan Yizhao's shot was simply priceless. He had arranged for Yan Yizhao to set up the gun from the east before, but later there were frequent problems and he forgot about Yan Yizhao's existence. If the shot just now had a slight deviation, he would have ascended directly on the spot. The life pool had a cumulative blood volume of about 4,000, and one C4 could not withstand it, let alone dozens of them. I'll kill you. Li Xiao, Luo Feng, who took a long time to react, completely collapsed. He raised his gun hysterically and was about to shoot in the direction of Li Xiao, but Diyun and others who had already aimed at him pulled the trigger without hesitation. Dozens of bullets instantly shot Luo Feng into a sieve. Seeing that the danger was eliminated, Yi Ming rushed to dismantle the C4 explosives, but Li Xiao hurriedly stopped him. No need, everyone evacuate. He came to Luo Feng's body, reached out and touched it, and the latter's backpack panel popped out. There were still more than 3,000 points of steel fuel, 400 points of rare ore, more than 700 star coins, nearly 20,000 rounds of rifle bullets, and more than 300 guns of various types such as pistols and rifles. Chapter 31 Yun Dongliu's request. Good guy, I've eaten a lot of Black Hawk Empire troops. There is indeed money to be made in team battles. Li Xiao happily collected all these supplies. With a loud bang, Luo Feng's command headquarters turned into a pile of ruins. At the same time, Li Xiao received a system prompt. You destroyed Luo Feng's level 5 exclusive base and received resource rewards, steel 3,951, fuel 3,800, and rare ore 1,205. At the same time, the several thousand square meters of base beneath our feet quietly disappeared, returning to its original jungle appearance, as if every plant and tree had never disappeared. That's right, destroying other players' bases will not only kill the player himself, but also result in 50% of the base construction resources as a reward. This is what Li Xiao saw in the chat channel. Everyone has been discussing this setting recently. It feels like the system is encouraging players to kill each other, and various conspiracy theories have popped up, but whether it's a conspiracy theory or some other reason, staying alive is the last word. The rest of the Xian Chao team members had already fled when they saw that the situation was not going well, and Li Xiao didn't have the extra energy to pay attention to them now. When the condition returns tomorrow, none of those people will be able to escape. The bodies of Zhang Shuang and 4 other soldiers also disappeared with the base, and Li Xiao didn't even have time to say goodbye. Zhang Shuang, a machine gunner, was usually taciturn, but he carried out his mission unequivocally. Li Xiao originally planned to increase his health after this time and train him into a main force, but he never expected that it would end up like this. This time, 5 people were lost at once. Li Xiao's strength was greatly damaged, but the gains were also quite generous. He directly raised less than half of the 6th level base resources. After resting on the spot for a night, Li Xiao summoned 3 infantrymen early the next morning. After adding 1,000 blood points to each of them, the troops began to clear out the 4-member bases of the Xianchao team. After Luo Feng's series of crazy actions yesterday, Li Xiao secretly warned himself that the Virgin's behavior was really not advisable to survive in another world. Therefore, in order to avoid future troubles, Li Xiao must eradicate Team Xianchao. Zhao Feipeng's drone set off first to conduct aerial reconnaissance of various bases. The main forces in these bases were basically wiped out in yesterday's battle. There may be some troops left in the base, but some of them must be professionals with weak combat effectiveness, so with their average blood volume of over 1,000, I can directly defeat these people. After the drone reconnaissance was completed, Li Xiao didn't even need to move forward covertly. He directly drove 7 all-terrain motorcycles to kill them. In just 2 hours, all the players with only number 7 or 8 soldiers in these bases were killed, even if the opponent repeatedly begged for mercy. However, the 2 players who were closer in the end cleverly joined forces and tried to fight Li Xiao. However, Li Xiao, who has aerial reconnaissance capabilities and fast maneuverability, did not fight them head-on. He directly drove an all-terrain vehicle to take a detour and steal the house. The other party's gang ran as hard as they could but still failed to get back in time. They watched helplessly as their own house was destroyed. Death. There were 2 third-level and 4th-level bases each, giving Li Xiao a total of 12,000 points of steel, more than 10,000 points of fuel, about 4,000 points of rare minerals, and more than 3,000 star coins. Now his total resources have reached 17,000 steel, 15,000 fuel, 6,000 rare ores, and 6,000 star coins. Fighting to feed war. Looking at the resources in his backpack, he didn't even know why he had worked so hard to hit the resource area. Li Xiao returned to the base an hour later. Since the military academy was under construction, he could not upgrade the base, so he simply returned to the headquarters to sleep. He didn't sleep for a long time while lying on the bed. Today's battle made him realize how dangerous the base would be once exposed in the early stage. Players have few detection methods and poor mobility, so let's forget about it later. Furthermore, the more the base is upgraded, the larger the territory will be and the more obvious the goal will be. Although this forest is very large, it always has boundaries. Therefore, how to hide his base, or how to provide a more effective early warning, has become an important issue for him to consider. The first thing he thought of was to bury hidden sentries. Based on his current scope of activities, hidden sentries must be set up in at least 8 directions with a radius of 5 kilometers. This requires him to have enough scouts, men. Why don't you swipe 180 numbers a day? Li Xiao thought like this, and then suddenly thought that even if he could get it out, he wouldn't be able to afford it. After thinking about it, Li Xiao finally fell asleep until he was woken up by a voice request in the afternoon. When he got up and opened the chat interface, Li Xiao was stunned. It turned out to be Yan Dongliu's message. He hurriedly picked it up. Brother Dongliu. I was just thinking about saying hello to you. I can't get along without saying a word after adding you as a friend. After Li Xiao finished speaking, the other end didn't speak for a long time. Li Xiao thought to himself that he had said the wrong thing. He immediately asked, Brother Dongliu, are you looking for me? If you have something to do, lend me 5,000 star coins and I will pay you back later. What Yun Dongliu said was so unequivocal that Li Xiao almost didn't have to think about it. It would probably be a matter of his own life to allow a cold-hearted guy like him to borrow money from someone he had only known for a few days. Can you tell me what's going on? I don't want to say much else. Just say whether you want to borrow it or not. Yun Dongliu's attitude hardly gave Li Xiao a chance to learn more. He thought about it and thought that he had no shortage of resources for the time being. The 6th level base only cost 1,000 star coins, which could be said to be just enough. Borrow it. Since you won't tell me, I won't ask. Anyway, I wish you good luck. Thanks. Yun Dongliu's last words became much more relaxed. And then he hung up the phone. Li Xiao immediately clicked on Yun Dongliu's information panel and paid 5,000 star coins on the spot. He was not worried that Yun Dongliu would disappear, because he didn't think this was a game at all. You can't see a person's true face in the game, and Yun Dongliu, he always had some reasons in his heart to support him to make this decision. 5,000 star coins is not a small amount. It can directly allow a player to upgrade from level 4 to level 5. Li Xiao can't just sit and watch his 5,000 star coins go to waste, so he planned to go to Xicheng again to try his luck. Yun Dongliu was probably coerced by someone. Otherwise he would not put down his face and ask someone to borrow money to upgrade the base wall guard in the Zicheng Bank. Fei Peng, Yiz Hao, Li Li, the three of you come with me. Li Xiao immediately took people to drive the all-terrain vehicle straight to Zicheng. There was no gunfire in Zicheng today, and the people began to return to this devastated city one after another. The troops of the Black Hawk Empire firmly controlled all the intersections in the city and closely checked the passing people and vehicles. It is worth noting that the Black Hawk Empire actually distributed food and medicine to ordinary civilians. This really surprised Li Xiao. After all, it is a modern civilization and human rights are still very important. Of course, this is complimentary. If you occupy the city and there are no civilians to produce, work and farm, you will have no source of tax revenue, and even no source of supplies. Li Xiao parked the car in the suburban forest, and then took Zhao Fipeng and the other two to continue walking the old road and enter the city from the sewer. Chapter 32 Xianba Team. Coming up from the school sewer, there were already many students in class on campus. Zhao Fipeng observed for a while and found that there were no Black Hawk patrols in the school, so he walked out with peace of mind, perhaps due to neutrality. Although the four of them appeared in the school very abruptly, no one asked them. So the four of them still followed the old route and climbed over the wall to Zicheng Bank. Many businesses on the street have resumed business, but the trauma of war is still in front of people. The shells, potholes and wreckage of vehicles everywhere show the evil of war. Li Xiao and his team kept avoiding the Black Hawk patrols in the city. Although the large Empire troops have withdrawn, there are still more than one regiment of garrison troops. When they arrived at Zicheng Bank, Yun Dongliu was not here. Where else would he go if not here? Logically, this should be Yun Dongliu's largest resource income area, and it is also inside the city. Generally, he will be present in person to prevent accidents. This made Li Xiao a little embarrassed. If he asked directly, Yun Dongliu would definitely not tell him. Boss, aren't his engineers still here? After collecting resources, the engineers will definitely return to the base. We just need to follow the engineers to find the person you are looking for. Smart. Li Xiao patted Zhao Fipeng on the shoulder. As expected, he was born as a scout and his brain is useful according to Zhao Fipeng's method. They saw Yun Dongliu's engineers leaving the city along the sewer in the evening, and several people hurriedly followed. After leaving the city, the engineers went straight to the west. After about 6 kilometers, they entered a forest and walked towards the foothills of a high mountain in the west in order to avoid being discovered by the engineers. Zhao Fipeng took off the drone and continued to track at a distance of about 300 meters. However, halfway through, the drone unexpectedly discovered Yun Dongliu, who had just left. What is this guy going to do in a hurry? Li Xiao wondered. Yun Dongliu also only brought a machine gunner and a scout professional subordinate, and went out and headed south. Li Xiao followed him for an hour and came to a small lake. The lake was sparkling in the moonlight at night, and it looked like a very comfortable place. There were already 4 or 5 people waiting by the lake, and Yun Dongliu led his people straight over. Li Xiao saw this scene and thought to himself, could this be a one-man show? Yun Dongliu walked in front of the players who were sneering and said coldly, where is Naiba? Why doesn't he come? Boy, who do you think you are? Our brother Ba is busy all day. How can he care about you? That's right, what's up? Did you bring the star coins? The opposite player was very arrogant as soon as he opened his mouth, but Yun Dongliu's face did not change at all. I can only raise 4,000 star coins now, and the rest will be raised in a few days. What? Only 4,000? The leading player on the opposite side said angrily. Do you think our Xianba team is making fun of us? I can give you these 4,000 first, but I want to see my sister first. You wish. If you want to find out your sister's whereabouts, don't even think about it if you don't pay the ransom. Li Xiao, who was observing not far away, heard that Yun Dongliu actually had a sister, and he couldn't help but envy him. It was the comfort to have a relative by his side after traveling to another world. But now his sister seems to have been kidnapped by the players on the opposite side who support the Xianba team. No wonder Yun Dongliu took the initiative to ask him. It stands to reason that Yun Dongliu and his sister should have friends who can contact each other, but looking at Yun Dongliu's current situation, his sister should be imprisoned alone and blindfolded, unable to identify the direction. Besides, you have to give us these 4,000 today, and then go back to raise money, otherwise we don't mind exposing your sister first and then killing her at any time. If you dare, I swear that I will definitely make you live a life worse than death. Yun Dongliu's eyes instantly turned red when he heard this, and Li Xiao could feel his angry murderous intent from a distance. Hey, life is worse than death? I'm waiting for you. Ha ha ha, this kid is crazy. The Xianba people didn't care about what they said and laughed at them. Yun Dongliu silently took out a card from his backpack and flew it in front of the Xianba people. 2 days later, Zichen High School, one hand for money and the other for people. After saying that, Yun Dongliu left directly. Li Xiao had to admire Yun Dongliu's brain when he heard what he said. At this moment, Zichen was controlled by the Black Hawk troops. If he wanted to enter the city, he had to find another way, that is, to honestly throw away the gun and then change into civilian clothes to enter. Xianba might not know the hidden passage into the city, and it is likely that he would take his sister into the city head-on. In this way, Yun Dongliu's troops can ambush with guns. No matter how many people Xianba brings, they are all unarmed. At this time, the initiative is in Yun Dongliu's hands. Great, this kid, however, Li Xiao saw that the people on the opposite side were not trustworthy people. Perhaps Yun Dongliu also knew this, but he had no choice. It seems that I have to help, Li Xiao pondered secretly. When Xianba saw Yun Dongliu walking away, they turned south, but they were obviously worried that Yun Dongliu would follow them. Not only did they send people to cover their retreat, but they also deliberately took a detour. But they didn't know that there was a small aircraft in the sky watching their performance. At 11 o'clock in the evening, Li Xiao and his 4 people returned to the base, and Zhao Fipeng told them the news of his reconnaissance. Boss, I found 7 bases based on their movement range, but unfortunately, no suspected targets were found in these 7 bases. It is very likely that they hid the hostages elsewhere, Li Xiao frowned. The Xianba team was really incompetent if they could not rescue them in advance. Who knows what the Xianba team will do to the girl in the remaining 2 days. After all, the girl will be unable to say anything when her mouth is blocked, but I found another important information. Damn. You can't finish it at once. Li Xiao was worried. Zhao Fipeng suddenly said something. He urged him angrily, hurry up, I found that one of the 7 bases is a level 5 base, so I repeatedly investigated the periphery several times and finally found some useful information. Zhao Fipeng paused and said, this level 5 base is only 1 kilometer away from the level 4 base next to it. The troops of the 2 sides are in a state of mutual defense. The commanders of the 2 bases are about 46 or 47 years old, and the other is at most in his early 20s. They look quite similar. I conclude that they are most likely father and son relationship? Level 5 base, a lot of information suddenly emerged in Li Xiao's mind. At this stage, those who can upgrade to level 5 bases are quite capable. This commander in his 40s and 50s is most likely the captain of the Xianba team, that is, brother by in the mouths of those people. If the young commander is his son, Li Xiao immediately has some plans in his mind. Chapter 33 Kidnapping and Counter-Kidnapping. Fipeng, thank you and Li for making another trip and continue to monitor the movements of the Xianba team. No problem. Boss. Then Li Xiao got through Liunian's voice again and sought his cooperation. On the morning of the next day, after more than 10 hours of monitoring, Zhao Fipeng finally saw the surveillance target leaving the base, so he immediately contacted Li Xiao. Li Xiao and Liunian, who were discussing countermeasures in the base, immediately set off with their elite members. After hearing this, because this was a rescue operation, it would be difficult to do things with a large number of people. Fleeting time brought 2 scouts, a communications trooper and a machine gunner. They were all veterans with the rank of first-class soldier or above. Li Xiao still took Liunian in a boat with 2 people. Because Liunian did not have a vehicle yet, he lent 2 all-terrain motorcycles to Liunian to make it easier to move. Riding on the all-terrain motorcycle, Liunian said with an envious look on his face, it's so irritating that people are so different from each other. I'm still worrying about a 5th level base, but you've already driven your own ATV? Hey, don't worry, there will be bread sooner or later. 2 teams with 4 vehicles got on the road and headed straight to the south. During this period, they took a long detour on a dirt road to avoid the Black Hawk troops in Zichen, and successfully arrived near the Xianba team's base camp. According to the preset rendezvous point informed by Zhao Fipeng to the base, Li Xiao and the others successfully connected with Li. Li stayed in the woods all night, with mosquito bites all over his face, but he reported the situation more excitedly. The target took 3 people up the mountain behind us. Through drone observation, there was an abandoned villa halfway up the mountain towards the east. They are on it at the moment. Then what are you waiting for? Let's take action immediately. Without further ado, upon hearing this, Liunian hurriedly said that ever since Li Xiao told him about Yongchang, Liunian has been impatient to teach these bastards a lesson. Okay. You hurry up and lead the way, We will follow, otherwise things will change if you wait too long. On the mountain, in a dusty villa guest room wearing a pink casual suit, a young man with hair waxed into comb-like shape was holding a shiny dagger dangling in front of a short-haired girl. The girl was wearing a pair of white shoes, a white t-shirt and jeans, her eyes were covered by a black cloth, and her mouth was stuffed with a ball of rags, taped with silver tape. Judging from her age, the girl seems to be less than 20 years old. Her soft skin, delicate nose, and pink ears all prove that she is definitely an exquisite girl. Sister, your brother really loves you. He is trying every means to save you right now. He will redeem you tomorrow. Woo woo, woo woo woo. After hearing the young man's words, the girl shouted excitedly in her throat, but she couldn't even get out of the room. The young man allowed the girl, whose hands and feet were bound, to struggle on the bed. His eyes became more and more fanatical, as if the more the girl moved, the more excited he became. Don't be anxious. Since you are leaving tomorrow, today is our last good time. I will definitely give you an experience you will never forget. As he spoke, the young man grabbed the girl's collar and slowly slid the back of the dagger down from the girl's neck. Woo woo woo. The girl struggled desperately, but to no avail. The young man was completely excited. He smiled evilly and said, "Don't worry, I'm very skilled. Before I traveled through time, my father opened several footbaths and bars. There wasn't a single girl there who didn't like me." At this point, he exerted force, and the dagger instantly penetrated the t-shirt, revealing the jade-like skin underneath. Bang! Just when he was about to bury his face in that whiteness, a gunshot outside instantly washed away the evil images in his mind. Who shot it? The young man kicked open the door angrily and walked out. Just when he was about to explode, there were suddenly a few more gunshots, and then he found that the message that the troops had been killed jumped out of his field of vision. Not good. Someone attacked, the young man yelled, hurriedly opened his friend list and sent a voice request. "Hey, son, have you gone to the villa? I'm telling you, don't let your sperm get into your head. If that Yongchang knows that you have exposed his own sister, our life will not be stable in the future, damn it. Bring someone here quickly, labor and management are being tricked." After the young man finished speaking, he took out a rifle from his backpack and replaced the magazine. He was about to withdraw when he suddenly remembered something and turned back to the room. "It seems that your brother is recruiting reinforcements, and he is actually able to find it here. He is quite capable, but so what? I will kill you now to see who is happier." After the young man finished speaking, he raised his gun and was about to shoot the girl. At this moment, he suddenly heard a buzzer and turned around to see a black shadow suddenly flying in from the window. The young man was caught off guard and hurriedly used his gun to resist, but he was a step too late. The black shadow just hit his face, and he was instantly covered with blood. At this moment, the black shadow also fell to the ground. When the young man took a closer look, it was a 20-centimeter drone. The crazy spinning blade splashed his blood on the sheets. At this moment, he seemed to understand why someone would come here, but before he could think about it, there were footsteps outside the guest room. When the young man saw this, he rushed to the bed and wanted to grab the girl, but there was someone who was faster than him. But the infantryman Diyun came directly from the window and blocked the bedside. Court death. When the young man saw Diyun, who had not had time to draw his gun, he raised his hand and fired. Unfortunately, the bullet hit Diyun's eyebrows without any trace of blood. What's going on? The young man was shocked and stunned on the spot. He didn't understand that the 6 or 7 shots just now were all hit in the head, and even a corporal in the infantry was killed. But fate did not give him a second chance. Diyun picked up the rifle and knocked the young man to the ground with the butt of the rifle. He then stepped on his arm and kicked the rifle away. Zhao Feipeng, who rushed up immediately, tied his hands and feet with sheets. The young man seemed very dissatisfied. Even though the corner of his eye was hit by a gun butt, he still shouted, "WDNMD. Do you know who is the employer? The deputy captain of the Xianba team. If you dare to mess with me, you will not be able to get off the mountain in a while." Snap, noisy. Zhao Feipeng rubbed his somewhat red palms, cursed and stood up to look at Li Xiao. "Boss, what should we do next? You take this guy down the mountain first, and Diyun stays." After speaking, Li Xiao walked to the bed, glanced at the disheveled girl, and quickly covered her with his military jacket. When the clothes touched the girl, Li Xiao clearly saw her body shaking violently. "Girl, don't panic, listen to me, we are your brother's friends, we are safe now, I will untie you now." After speaking, Li Xiao gently pulled off the cloth from her eyes, and suddenly her eyes were full of tears, revealing her big watery eyes. and a cute oval face under the beautiful bangs. Chapter 34 Yun Ying. With tears streaming down her face, Li Xiao tore off the tape again and took out the rags. When the girl saw Li Xiao and Di Yun, she was stunned for a second and then couldn't help but burst into tears. Li Xiao asked she to release her emotions and then said, "Girl, it's still very dangerous here. We must leave immediately. Can you leave? I'll let this uncle carry you." "Wow, boss, isn't it? I'm only 24. Even though I'm a bit stronger, you don't have to use me to set you off like this, right?" Poof. Di Yun finished speaking with a depressed look on his face, but the girl couldn't help laughing after hearing this. "Okay, let's go." Di Yun stepped forward and knelt down, but the girl didn't hesitate and directly hugged Di Yun's burly shoulders. Liu Nian, Yan Yizhao, Lily and others who were responding at the foot of the mountain had already driven over with their all-terrain vehicles. Except for Zhao Fipeng and Li Li, who continued to stay behind to inquire about information, the others quickly evacuated the scene. "May I have your name?" Li Xiao asked while riding his bike. "Yun Ying." The girl gently put Li Xiao's body armor on her face, her face a little red. "What a nice name." Li Xiao sighed. "It's a pity that my parents died early. Maybe they could give me a younger brother and sister. By the way, do you know your brother's base?" "No." "Do those who kidnapped you know?" "This should not be known, otherwise they would not threaten my brother, but directly attack our base." This was the longest sentence Li Xiao heard within an hour of meeting Yun Ying. It was obvious that the girl's thinking was not affected by the gangster, and she knew the reason why Li Xiao asked these words. Half an hour later, they arrived at Yongliu's base. Li Xiao had informed Yongliu in advance, and he had been waiting at the gate of the base. Seeing Yun Ying at this moment, Yun Dongliu could no longer maintain his coolness and rushed forward. Yun Ying jumped off the all-terrain vehicle, and the two hugged each other and cried on the spot. Liu Nian sighed, "I can't bear to see this kind of scene. Seeing them both makes me miss my parents. There's nothing we can do about it. Who made us run into this? I just hope there will be changes in the future." The young Dongliu brother and sister reunited and exchanged greetings, then came over, and they both suddenly bowed to Li Xiao. "Hey, I can't do it, I can't do it." Li Xiao was so frightened that he quickly stepped forward to help the two of them up. "It's not easy for us to get to know each other. Friends should support each other." Yun Dongliu waved his hand. Yun Dongliu, always thought that I could stand on my own and not need others. But when I came to this other world, I found that I was indeed a bit ridiculous before." Li Xiao patted him on the shoulder. "Everyone should have some personality of his own, but the top priority is to consider the next thing." He had told Yun Dongliu the ins and outs of this operation before. At this moment, Yun Dongliu saw Xianba young master, who was blindfolded and being held by Di Yun like a chicken, and pulled out the 05 from his waist. "Just shoot." When Li Xiao saw this, he held the muzzle of the gun and said, "Hey, it's a life after all. Besides, his life is worth a little bit. Since he can threaten you with Yun Ying, why can't you threaten his son? Where's his father?" Yun Dongliu shook his hands, but ultimately failed to pull the trigger. At this time, the young man in front of him had already peed, and the stench filled the air. "Hey, boy, is this all you have? It seems that your skills in charming thousands of girls are not good enough. You can't hold it back." When Liu Nian saw the wretched look of Mr. Xianba, he immediately sneered. Yun Dongliu put away his gun and said in a cold voice, "Naihu, you are lucky today. It won't be so cheap next time. I said if you dare to touch my sister, he will die without a burial place sooner or later, so my name is Naihu. This name doesn't suit me. I think it's better to call me Naishu." Li Xiao punched Liu Nian. "Okay, you will be everywhere. Let's get down to business." He came to Naihu and said in a deep voice, "Yesterday, Yun Dongliu said that he would hand over money and hand over people in Zichen tomorrow. Now it is still time to hand over money and hand over people. You should contact your father immediately and tell him to bring 20,000 yuan with you tomorrow. The star coins come to redeem people, and the votes are broken when it's too late." "Yes. I'll fight right away, I'll fight right away." Naihu almost cried with joy when he heard that there was still a glimmer of hope. He quickly sent a voice message to his father. "Hey, son, why don't you answer my voice call? What's going on now, old dad? Please save me. I was captured by Yun Dongliu. They want you to take 20,000 star coins to exchange for me in Zichen tomorrow." "What? Turn on the loudspeaker." Li Xiao impatiently asked Naihu to turn on the loudspeaker. "Uncle Naiba, I'm sorry to inform you that your son is now in my hands. If you want to see him again, Just do as he said. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning click, we'll be waiting for you at Zicheng High School on time. Dad, save me, snap. After Li Xiao finished speaking, he glanced at Di Yun, and Naihu took another elbow and passed out. Okay, now let's go back and prepare ourselves. We'll take the troops to Zicheng High School tonight and be on standby. Yun Dongliu nodded and said, as far as I know, there are already 20 members of the Xianba team, of which the main force number 89 is a 4th level base. If they are all dispatched, there will be at least more than 300 troops, which should not be underestimated. Li Xiao shook his finger. Don't worry, they can't come with so many people. We can kidnap Nahu under their noses. Anyone on the other side who is not a fool will know that we have mastered the location of their main base, so they will definitely leave at least 1/3 of their troops to guard the home. At this point, Li Xiao paused. We must pay special attention to the situation around the base, so as not to be exploited by the enemy. In this way, as long as they pass the inspection and enter the city normally, they will basically have no way to bring weapons in. Our 40 or 50 people can kill 200 unarmed guys as easily as cutting melons and vegetables, Li Unian said happily. So that's what you think, Yun Dongliu suddenly said. I'm afraid you all overlooked one thing. What is it? Li Unian and Li Xiao looked at Yun Dongliu together. Although the Black Hawk Empire troops can see whether you carry weapons like the NPCs deployed by the system, they can't see how you trade weapons. Trade? Li Xiao slapped his head and suddenly realized. Although players can only trade star coins directly, players can directly purchase weapons through the trading center, and they can arrive in seconds. Then why did you arrange to meet them in Zicheng before? Borrow a knife to kill? Borrow a knife to kill? In the early morning, Li Xiao led his team and Liu Nian, Yun Dongliu and the 3 parties joined forces to enter the Zicheng sewer. Last night, Li Xiao opened the conscription order, and the system rarely issued 2 machine gunners and a rifleman. Seeing the 2 strong machine gunners, Li Xiao thought of Zhang Shuang again. A private with nearly 5,000 horsepower was hung under the enemy's explosives. His heart was really bleeding. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35, Cherish Life and Stay Away From. Including the 3 new soldiers, Li Xiao brought out 15 people this time. Yang Zhao, Du Zidong and a communications soldier were still at home. Wu Fang Town and Banshan Steel Plant continued to be replaced by Zhang Lang and another engineering soldier because Li Xiao had a vehicle. He moved the troops of Yongchang and Lionium back and forth. Until dawn, the team of 45 people had all hidden in the building next to the football field of Zicheng High School. The Xianba team entered the city much faster than Li Xiao imagined. At 9 o'clock, this group of nearly 150 people had already entered the school, arrogantly distributing weapons at the school gate. Their formation scared the students and teachers and fled in all directions, and they almost attracted the Black Hawk Patrol. It seems that they are still more cautious. Only half of their troops came. Lao Xiao, what are you going to do next? Li Xiao looked at his watch and said calmly, it should be almost done over at Yun Dongliu. Di Yun, come up, clear. In this kind of transaction, the large number of people is just a target for the other party, so only one person with quick reactions and enough meat can go. For this reason, Li Xiao divided the more than 4,000 points of health remaining in the life pool and gave another 3,000 to Di Yun, letting this guy go up with 16,000 points of health. Let's go. Be honest, Di Yun grabbed Nahu's collar and walked towards the teaching building. At this time, Nahu's head was wrapped in a brown paper bag, and from the sound of the voice, it seemed that he was blindfolded and his mouth sealed. He was even covered with a military coat, which was tied up with stripes. It was still very hot in the summer morning, and sweat was dripping from under the paper bag. Di Yun hid tightly behind Nahu, holding the large caliber pistol Li Xiao gave him to the back of Nahu's head. As soon as Di Yun appeared, everyone in the Xianba team immediately aimed their guns at him. A middle-aged man wearing a beige jacket and a stubble came out of the crowd. He was staring at Di Yun, with veins popping out in the arm holding the gun. After a long while, he said, go and call your commander out. A soldier is not qualified to trade with us. Do you think you are qualified to raise conditions? Di Yun said disdainfully, as soon as my gun fires, your son who does not have a 4th level base will be bloodied on the spot. Stop talking nonsense. If you bring the star coins, trade them quickly. I have to go back to sleep. Di Yun's words made Naiba, the captain of the Xianba team, instantly fill up his anger level. At this time, the muscles on his face began to twitch. People who are greedy for life and afraid of death will never succeed. Naiba turned around and winked at the person next to him, and a younger brother walked out and came 10 meters in front of Di Yun. Then flew out a black card. Di Yun grabbed the card and touched the screen display switch on the card. After seeing the number of 20,000 points on it, he covered his earphones and said, "Boss, the star coins are confirmed." "Very good. Hold still and don't move." When Naiba saw that Di Yun made no move to release his son, he said coldly, "Why? Why don't you let him go?" "Don't worry, I'm not dozing off now. Why don't you wait for one more minute?" While they were talking, an all-terrain vehicle drove onto the lawn from the stadium gate, and on board was Corporal Scout Zhao Fipeng. Zhao Fipeng drove the all-terrain vehicle behind Di Yun, who immediately stepped onto the vehicle, but Naihu was still under his gun. At this minute, everyone in the Xianba team was anxious, and they were about to charge up with their guns. Di Yun quickly shouted, "Hey, don't be anxious. This car can only seat 2 people, and one of them must stay. If you go one step further, I wouldn't mind giving Mr. Nai a few peanuts." "Everyone, hold still." Naiba hurriedly stopped everyone. That all-terrain vehicle could indeed only seat 2 people. He already knew clearly that the other party had taken all factors into consideration, including the Xianba team's thoughts. After successfully restraining everyone, Di Yun immediately signaled Zhao Fipeng to start the all-terrain vehicle and accelerate out of the stadium. At the same time, more than 100 players from the Xianba team also opened fire wildly after Naihu was out of the opponent's absolute hitting range in an instant. Hundreds of bullets were fired at Di Yun, Zhao Fipeng and the 2 of them, but they were actually only attacked by 100 or 200 bullets while they were moving. Hundreds of bullets hit the all-terrain vehicle, and Di Yun took most of the remaining bullets for Zhao Fipeng, who was low on health. The 2 of them were out of the shooting range of the Xianba team. In just a few seconds, the first team stays. The second and third teams block the school gate and wall for me. The rest give me chase. Naiba no longer cared to think about why Di Yun, who had been shot 100 or 200 times, would not die and his car would not explode. He immediately rushed to Naihu, who was still jumping on the spot, with dozens of his men. "Son, you have suffered. It's okay now." Naiba grabbed the brown paper bag and lifted the cloth on Naihu's face. However, what he saw was not Naihu's excited eyes for the rest of his life, but a pair of pupils that shrank to the extreme and were extremely frightened. "Son, what's wrong with you?" Naiba removed the seal from his son's mouth, and Naihu shouted almost at the top of his lungs, "Dad, run. There's something explosive on me." Boom. Everyone, including Naiba, almost didn't react when they heard his words, and then a light appeared in their eyes. A small mushroom cloud rose into the sky, and the impact of the explosion carried the turf of the stadium and countless body fragments falling around like fairy flowers. Looking at the killing prompts that filled the screen, Li Xiao said to Yiming with satisfaction, "You've made a lot of money again this time." "Yes." Li Xiao asked Yiming to tie 5 pieces of C4 plastic explosives on Naihu. This amount of explosives is enough to kill low-ranking soldiers within a 10-meter range, including players with full level 5 bases. It's so exciting. I'm really impressed. Lao Xiao, are your soldiers all gods? Why can't your soldiers die after being shot so many times? Even the vehicles are the same. Li Unian has almost become a fanatic fan of Li Xiao. Because I'm invincible. Ha ha ha. While the 2 were talking, the school gate also started a firefight, which was not only mixed with the sound of heavy machine guns, but also the explosion of rockets from time to time. It seems that Yun Dongliu has succeeded. Let's go, Li Unian, let's go pick up the spoils. There were 9 players who followed Naiba, plus the captain and his son, a total of 11 people. Li Xiao seized 17,000 points of steel, 20,000 points of fuel oil, 6,000 points of rare ore from them, and only a few hundred or 2 star coins. It seems that the 20,000 star coins extorted by Li Xiao have already drained the Xianba team. Tisk tisk. Naiba probably never thought that his dozen members and 100+ troops would be gone in a moment. Li Unian looked at the corpses on the ground and said with a sigh. Li Xiao shrugged, "So, every step you take in the alien world must be extremely careful. This is really not a game. You can start over if you die." "No, I think it should be, cherish life and stay away from C4, ha ha ha." Chapter 36 Team Xiao. After Li Xiao packed up his things, Yun Dongliu's operation was also declared over. At 9:40, Yun Dongliu sent someone to throw a grenade to a company stationed at the Xicheng Expressway toll station, and then he led the Black Hawk troops all the way to Xicheng High School. At this time, Di Yun also led the Xianba team to the school gate. The Xianba team, which was full of guns and murderous, naturally had a bloody fight when they met the Black Hawk troops. In the end, the Black Hawk troops relied on the heavy machine guns and rockets on 2 armored vehicles to wipe out hundreds of people. The time difference was calculated by Yun Dongliu after repeated calculations. It can be said that the difference is not too big. This wave of borrowing a knife to kill can be said to be a stable batch. The only flaw is that the 3 squads responsible for blocking the wall of Xicheng High School ran away at the first time. The soldiers responsible for guiding Yun Dongliu was taken away by Li Xiao's new machine gunner Leng He riding an all-terrain vehicle, of course, Di Yun and Zhao Fipen. They threw away their guns while running, and finally drove the 2 ATVs into a lake in a park, and then hid them, successfully avoiding the pursuit of the Black Hawk patrol. It was a pity that Li Xiao could not get any health points in the battle at the gate, but it didn't matter. At noon, Li Xiao and his 3 men gathered in the sewer again and decided to take the opportunity to eat up the bases of the Xianba team that had lost their owners anyway. Without the commander's troops, they were all scattered sand. Li Xiao would take them down easily and happily, and they could get a lot of resources by demolishing the bases relying on Zhao Fipeng's 2 days of intelligence collection. The joint forces of the 3 of them demolished the bases of Naiba and Hu's son and 4 other players one by one. 4 level 5 and 2 level 4 bases demolished, a total of 19,000 steel points, 17,000 fuel points and about 5,000 rare ores. There were originally 2 or 3 bases that could be demolished, but they never expected that the remaining members of the Xianba team were even more vicious. When they heard the news that their boss was killed, they ran over to demolish the bases as soon as possible. If Li Xiao and his team hadn't acted quickly, and the few minions were too few to harvest all at once, it is estimated that they would not have been able to get 6 bases. After returning to Yun Dongliu's base, Li Xiao began to divide the spoils, totaling 36,000 points of steel, 37,000 points of fuel, 11,000 points of rare ore, and 20,000 star coins. Li Xiao's original idea was to divide it equally, but Yun Dongliu and Liunian both felt that most of the credit was Li Xiao's. Without him, Yun Dongliu would have found it difficult to rescue his sister. Liunian only did some work as a guard and errand boy. The 2 of them refused again and again, so Li Xiao had to make his own decision. So Li Xiao took 20,000 points of steel, 20,000 points of fuel, and 6,000 points of rare ore. The rest was divided equally between Yun Dongliu and Liunian. As for Yun Ying, Yun Dongliu insisted on not dividing it, so Li Xiao had to give up. Yun Dongliu said he didn't want the 20,000 star coins, because he owed Li Xiao 5,000 star coins. Liunian also insisted that he didn't want it, so Li Xiao simply transferred him 2,000 star coins on the grounds that 2 soldiers were killed when he was dismantling the base after the division of the spoils. Li Xiao said to Yun Dongliu, "Brother Dongliu, if you have any problems in the future, just come to us too. As long as we can help, we will definitely help." "Yes, Brother Dongliu and Sister Yunying, please come to me anytime if you have any problems," Liunian laughed. Since Liunian got to know Li Xiao found that this kid's personality was not as humble as when they first met, but rather careless and impulsive. "I think you are not going for Brother Dongliu," Li Xiao joked. "Old Xiao, don't joke around. Sister Yunying is 6 years younger than me. She doesn't like me." Perhaps it touched Liunian's heart. He quickly retorted, his face flushed slightly. Yun Dongliu smiled and said, "Anyway, thank you for this time." Yunying was too frightened and is now recuperating in her base. "I will bring her to thank you when I have time. Don't bother so much. Remember to call us if there is anything good on the future," Li Xiao said as he pulled Liunian away. "Li Xiao." Just after taking 2 steps, Yun Dongliu suddenly shouted. Li Xiao and Liunian looked back at him. "Anything else?" Yun Dongliu opened his mouth and seemed to have made up his mind. "I wonder if what you said about forming a team that day still counts." Li Xiao and Liunian were overjoyed after hearing this and said in unison, "Of course, forget it." Li Xiao turned and came to Yun Dongliu, "But I didn't help you just to let you join the team. I just didn't want my 5,000 star coins to go to waste. I'm serious." Yun Dongliu regained his cold face, but in the eyes of Li Xiao and Liunian, this appearance hides a sentimental heart. "Well, I'll apply for a team now. I've already thought of a name. What do you think of the Xiao team? Free and easy, fearless and brave, sure, it sounds like a chivalrous man, Liu Nian muttered. Yun Donglia folded his hands and said calmly, I have no objection, then it's settled. Li Xiao immediately called out the base information interface and selected the commander team information column. He had never joined or established a team before, so it showed that he could apply to form a team. After spending 500 star coins, Li Xiao wrote the word Xiao on the pop-up panel, and then the system sounded a prompt. To create a team, more than 3 members must initiate a call at the same time. Please enter the name of the member to be called. Li Xiao followed the prompts and added Liunian, Yun Dongli Un Yun Ying to the call list. The system then sent a confirmation letter to the 3 of them. The 3 of them confirmed the information without any hesitation. You have successfully created a Xiao team. The team initiator automatically becomes the lifelong honorary founder and is elected as the first team captain. As the system information was refreshed, a team menu appeared on Li Xiao's information panel. After he clicked it, he found the member information of Yun Dongliu and others. After the team was established, the system opened an independent team channel in the communication system. In the future, he can chat and command directly in the team channel. In addition, the team captain also set up a deputy captain position, which has the authority to approve new members and open the command voice. After Li Xiao asked Yun Dongliu and Liunian for their opinions, Liunian, who was active at the point, finally took the position. Now we are brothers. From now on, we must support each other and face challenges together on Hanhei Star. Li Xiao stretched out the back of his hand and placed it between the 2 of them. We will share weal and woe. Never leave each other. Liunian and Yun Dongliu reached out and pressed down tacitly. We will share weal and woe. Never leave each other. The establishment of the team made Li Xiao feel very happy. After returning to the base, he began to upgrade the base. Chapter 37 Tiger H9 Military Off-Road Vehicle. In the previous 2 days, the warehouse and the military academy had already been completed. Now he had 37,000 steel, 35,000 fuel oil, 12,000 rare ore, and 19,000 star coins. More importantly, the upper limit of the life value in the life pool accumulated to 9,600 points, which were all obtained from the C4S of Zicheng High School and the raid on the Xianba team base. The durability of the vehicle also accumulated more than 30,000 points, which was left after he added 10,000 durability points to each of the 2 all-terrain motorcycles. Come on, my little baby, start upgrading. Li Xiao pointed at the virtual panel. 10,000 steel, 10,000 fuel oil, 4,000 rare ore, and 1,200 star coins were gone. 3 days later, the 6th level base was completed, the site expanded to 8,000 square meters, and the health of the headquarters was upgraded to 500,000 points. According to the damage calculation of C4, at least 40 or more were needed to blow up the headquarters. However, apart from these, the level 6 base did not bring any substantial improvement to Li Xiao, so Li Xiao bought 2,000 star coins worth of resources, raised 30,000 steel, 30,000 oil, 7,000 rare minerals, and 4,000 star coins, and worked all the way to the level 7 base. It was already a week later when the level 7 base was completed, and the 10,000 square meter base had taken shape. In addition to the durability improvement of various buildings, the biggest benefit is that the military factory finally produced a new vehicle and new equipment. The new vehicle is the Tiger H9 military off-road vehicle, which is 5.4 meters long, 2.2 meters wide, and 1.9 meters high. This military off-road vehicle is equipped with 4 explosion-proof and endurance tires, equipped with bulletproof windows and doors, and reinforced steel plates are installed on the front and rear bottom of the vehicle. There is a rotating shooting platform on the top of the vehicle, which can be used by machine gunners to set up squad machine guns or heavy machine guns. The Tiger H9 can carry 5 soldiers, with a maximum speed of 110 km per hour and a durability of up to 10,000 points. What does 10,000 points mean? QBZ-19 deals 60-70 points of damage to ordinary off-road vehicles, and basically 1 or 2 magazines can blow it up. If it hits the Tiger, the damage will definitely be smaller. According to the minimum calculation of 50 points, it will take 7 magazines to blow it up. This is equivalent to stopping there and letting 7 people use rifles to empty the magazines before it can be destroyed. Of course, the performance is far superior to the off-road vehicles and vans hijacked on the road, so the cost is also very high. 1,500 steel, 1,000 oil, 200 star coins, and 24 hours of construction time. When Li Xiao saw the attributes of the tiger, he was simply envious. If there were 10 of them, each with a light and heavy machine gun, and then give it 30,000 or 20,000 durability, it would be amazing. The equipment updated at the same time, this time is a defensive weapon. Li Xiao was both happy and uncomfortable when he saw this thing. Anti-infantry mine, a single soldier portable anti-infantry weapon, with a killing radius of 3 meters and a maximum damage of 250 points. Li Xiao's biggest headache now is the defense of the base. The troops' refresh speed is too slow. So far, he has less than 60 soldiers, and now the base has reached 10,000 square meters. The defense pressure is really great. Every time he goes out to play in the wild, he is always nervous, for fear that his home will be stolen if he is not careful. Now that the anti-infantry mine has come out, it has given him a better means of operation in the periphery of the base. He can make it in large quantities and then arrange it around the base, but everything has two sides. He can lay mines, and the enemy can also, which brings a lot of uncertainty to future battles. The manufacturing cost of anti-infantry mines is cheap, 30 steel, 20 rare ore, 5 star coins, and the manufacturing time is only 3 hours. The only thing is that the damage is less. It is okay to deal with new recruits and first, second and third class soldiers who have just served, but the senior soldiers cannot be fatal at once. Although the Tiger off-road vehicle is expensive, Li Xiao must make it, because there are more and more players in the level 5 base now, and a large number of all-terrain vehicles have begun to be put on the shelves in the trading center. What followed was a significant improvement in the players' mobility, and the difficulty of future operations would be quite great. He urgently needed a vehicle with faster speed and stronger protection. Li Xiao bought more than 2,000 star coins and arranged the construction of 5 Tiger military off-road vehicles at one time. As for the anti-infantry mines, he must have built them desperately. It would be the best if he could cover the 5-kilometer radius of the base. Li Xiao also took the time to count the number of his troops. As of now, he has 35 infantrymen commanded by Di Yun and Yang Zhao, 6 engineers commanded by Yu Ming and Zhang Lang, and 5 scouts commanded by Zhao Fipeng. In addition, there are 4 communications soldiers led by Li Li, and 3 cooks including Du Zid, and the support-type soldiers include 3 machine gunners including Leng Yi, and 2 snipers including Yan Yizhao, with a total of 58 troops. This amount of troops is what he has left after not fighting much for more than a week. If he encounters a big battle, I am afraid there will not be so many. Of course, although his troops are small, if the health is in a single round, it is a scale of 500 people during this period. Yun Dongliu and Liunian also developed well. After Naiba and Husan died, the Xianba team disbanded, and Yun Dongliu took the opportunity to occupy 2 small towns near the Xianba team. Liunian continued to expand northward, but further north was a mountainous area, with only a highway passing through the mountains, and the nearby resource areas were very scarce. In the past few days, Li Xiao has also been paying attention to the national channel. What can be seen is that a large number of players die in conflicts every day. Those who survive have more room for development, and those who die don't know where they went. Hanhei Star is very large. With 2 billion players, the density of the base distribution is not exaggerated, but it can still make many players fall into war. It is conceivable that desire is always one of the fundamentals of human beings, especially Li Xiao, who has tasted victory. He even began to long for fighting. After midnight, a new day came, and Li Xiao received 3 new recruitment orders from the base information panel. Now he uses the subscription order to directly activate it in batches, unlike before when he was full of expectations. But this time, 2 new arms appeared. Medical soldiers should be a new auxiliary unit unlocked by the 7th level base. They have battlefield rescue capabilities and have a blood volume of 200 points at birth. Medics can use bandages, painkillers, medical kits, and other medical equipment and medicines to restore the blood volume of injured soldiers in a short time. However, the speed and amount of recovery depend on the medic's rank and ability rating. The second new unit is the Army Infantry Instructor that Li Xiao has been waiting for a long time. This military instructor named Longming has the rank of Major and can teach all infantry combat professions in the army, but Longming's message showed something that Li Xiao was very puzzled about. That is, this major brother actually refused to leave the base to fight, and only participated in teaching tasks in base defense battles. Damn it, the system is too stupid, isn't it? I gave it to a major instructor and didn't even take him out. Li Xiao really couldn't help but complain, but what could he do? If he was kidnapped by force, his loyalty would definitely be wiped out. Chapter 38, Fighting at the Transfer Station Again. Li Xiao immediately ordered Long Ming to enter the military academy and immediately began training soldiers. Currently, the military academy can train 5 soldiers at a time, and the single training time is up to 1 week. The training cost of a G-level 1-star private is 100 star coins per person, and the training result is usually above 5 stars. This effect is still very significant. For example, Di Yun, who is currently a corporate, has reached G-level 8 stars, and Yi Ming, who has participated in multiple explosions, has reached 9 stars. Their professional abilities have far exceeded ordinary soldiers. Dear Commander, the Spark event has been opened and will last for 24 hours. Do you want to participate? Before digesting some of the information after the upgrade, Li Xiao's mind sounded the cold female voice again, and the second Spark event was opened. According to the time, today happens to be the last day of the first month in this so-called backfire world. In this way, the Spark event seems to be twice a month. Remember that in the last Spark event, Li Xiao almost died under the gunfire of the armed helicopter. This time he dare not be too presumptuous. Where should we go to deal with the Black Hawk Empire this time? Li Xiao thought for a while. In fact, there was a ready-made point next to him, the transfer station. Since the fall of Xichen, the number of transport convoys from the Black Hawk Empire to this place has decreased sharply, and the importance of the transfer station has decreased a lot. The 2 armored vehicles originally assigned to they have already entered Xichen at present. This transfer station has only 1 battalion of 300 troops, 4 heavy machine gun positions, 2 high-tower sniper points, and an unknown number of mortars and rocket launchers. The rocket launcher has a lethality of 5,000 points against vehicles. All-terrain vehicles can't withstand it. The Tiger H9 is not built in time, so it's not easy to break through. In the spacious combat hall of the 7th level base command, Li Xiao projected the 3-dimensional map onto the electronic sand table, and everyone gathered together to observe the terrain of the transfer station. How about the old trick? Find an opportunity to stuff C4 explosives in it? Li Xiao remembered the first time he attacked the transfer station. Now there are a lot of C4 explosives in the trading center, and there are a lot of people who want to buy a lot. Boss, this trick doesn't work. There hasn't been a single vehicle in or out of the transfer yard for 2 or 3 days. We don't have time to wait. Li Xiao frowned. The activity lasted only 24 hours, so a battle plan must be formulated as soon as possible. How about that? I think we should use guerrilla tactics. Yan Yizhao, who had been standing on the periphery without saying anything, suddenly said, Xiao he and I will go out to snipe and harass the Imperial troops at the transfer yard, induce them to send troops out to clean up, and then we will defeat them one by one. That's a solution. Li Xiao's eyes lit up, but then he asked, what if the other side holds on? Then I will call out their names one by one. 24 hours is enough for Xiao he and I to snipe out half of their establishment. Zhao Fipeng shook his head. I'm afraid it's not that easy to beat. The Imperial troops are not fools who stand there for you to call out their names. Li Xiao thought about it and decided, Yan Yizhao and Xiao he will execute your plan first, and we will support them on the periphery. Yes. Yan Yizhao stood still, saluted and turned to leave the hall. Xiao he is the second sniper under Li Xiao. Now he is on guard outside the base with Yan Yizhao. They have never had any chance to attack, so they naturally cherish this mission. In fact, if Yun Dongliu and the other 3 are called, it will be much easier to capture the transfer station if the 4 forces are organized together. But there are only about 300 people in the transfer station. If they wipe out all of them, they can only get 400 points at most, 100 points per person. It is better for them to go to Xichen or somewhere else to fight the Black Hawk Patrol. In fact, Li Xiao does not need to take this risk, but he is currently facing a certain crisis in food. The 500 bags of rice and 1,000 bags of flour he got from the transfer station last time can actually supply his growing troops for more than half a year. But he learned that it is difficult for Liuni and Yun Dongliu to maintain the food of 40 to 50 troops now, and a considerable part of the resources and star coins earned every day have to purchase food at the trading center. This has led to the fact that although they have upgraded to level 5 base, the resources for level 6 have not been raised. Li Xiao thought that he had a lot of food, so he agreed to supply them with food first and let them keep the resources to upgrade the base first. After all, if the average strength of a team is improved, it will be easier to arrange for war in the future. However, after more than 10 days of supply, Du Zidane calculated that the food consumption can only sustain their 4 bases for 1 to 2 months. According to Zhao Fipeng's calculation, although there may not be much ammunition in the transfer yard at this time, there should be hundreds to 1,000 bags of rice and flour cans. In this way, as long as they get this batch of supplies, the Xiaoyao team will not have to worry about followed food supply for at least 3 months. Since the order has been issued, Li Xiao did not hesitate and Yan Yizhao with a 40-man troop to the outskirts of the transfer yard after Zichen was captured. The life of the defenders of the transfer yard began to become idle. They had a large amount of supplies and no worries about food and drink. There was even very happy music coming from the barracks of the field. However, there were still meticulous imperial soldiers on duty on the 4 heavy machine gun positions and guard towers, and several searchlights swept back and forth at the walls in 4 directions. Yan Yizhao checked his sniper rifle and put the scope on the 10-meter-high sentry tower for him. The biggest threat was the opponent's sniper, so killing the opponent's sniper before the battle was the top priority. However, the snipers of the Black Hawk Empire were not vegetarians. They completely hid their bodies behind the steel plates of the sentry tower platform and only observed the outside world through the narrow observation holes reserved on the steel plates. What? Is there a chance? Li Xiao's voice came from Yan Yizhao's headset. The enemy's defense is very tight, and the field of vision is limited, but I can try. Yan Yizhao turned his head and said to Xiaohe, who was also a sniper beside him, the observation hole of the sentry tower platform at 12 o'clock. We will fire from front and back and try to get in. What if we can't get in? If you can't get in, just run away, Yan Yizhao said indifferently. Anyway, they don't dare to chase out. As he said, Yan Yizhao had held his breath, and the crosshairs in the camera lens hardly shook at all. After giving Xiaohe enough time to aim, he pulled the trigger. Bang! A crisp gunshot sounded in the forest where insects and birds chirped, and a bullet whizzed through the overlapping branches and flew straight into the observation hole with a width of only 7 or 8 centimeters. Puff! Blood splattered, and the sniper lying on the platform of the sentry tower was shot on the neck and huddled up in pain on the spot. But then another bullet came in, and the sniper was completely dead. At the same time as the gun was fired, the entire transfer yard sounded a rapid whistle, and the 2 heavy machine guns almost immediately fired bullets in the direction of Yan Yizhao's firing, and then a large number of troops rushed out. Chapter 39 5 Strong Men. The position chosen by Yan Yizhao and his team was behind a small slope in the opposite direction, about 120 meters away from the transfer yard. The bullets from the heavy machine gun scattered and hit the soil on the small slope, and the 2 were unharmed. Seeing that the defenders chased them out, the 2 of them did not dare to fight and quickly evacuated. Li Xiao and others also began to wait in a serious battle, but the defenders suddenly turned back after chasing them for 200 meters, and had no intention of going deeper. Damn! Really cautious, Yan Yizhao will go up and harass them again, Li Xiao continued. Yan Yizhao found another place. At this time, the body of the sniper on the sentry tower had been dragged down and replaced by a new sniper, but this sniper had experience and directly avoided the observation hole without revealing his body. Others in the venue all found shelters to hide. Good fellow. You are really willing to be a coward, Yan Yizhao whispered to Xiaohe. Since they don't show their heads, then we will turn on the searchlights. Turn on the searchlights? In this way, won't we be able to see the situation inside clearly? We can't see and we are not panicking. If they can't see, then they will panic. So within a dozen seconds, several searchlights in the venue were blown up by the 2 men. The exasperated Black Hawk troops directly fired 6 or 7 rockets at Yan Yizhao, but these rockets were blind shots and didn't hit them at all. After the smoke cleared, the defenders of the transfer station still didn't choose to attack, and Yan Yizhao also put in his best efforts. So the 2 sides repeatedly faced each other with guns and cannons until 4 o'clock in the morning, when the imperial soldiers of the transfer station finally couldn't bear the torture and sent a company of troops to encircle and suppress Yan Yizhao. Looking at a group of imperial soldiers listlessly checking the forest area, Li Xiao and others who had slept for several times laughed. Boss, I'll leave it to you. I can't stand it anymore. After a night of hard work, even the sniper with the best endurance couldn't stand it. Yan Yizhao was really exhausted, but Xiaohe, who had been resting and waiting, took over. Okay, let us take over next, Li Xiao pinched the headset and said, everyone prepare for battle. When the target enters the ambush range, the machine gunners will fire from the front, and the infantry will suppress on both wings. Di Yun, Your assault team will prioritize destroying the enemy's machine gun firepower. Although the combat operation had been deployed, Li Xiao still confirmed it one last time. Their ambush position was on a slope, and Leng He and the other 3 machine gunners had a very good field of vision. When all the Black Hawk troops entered the ambush range, Xiao He was the first to open fire, and he killed a soldier carrying a rocket launcher in seconds. Then Leng He and the other 3 used their squad machine guns to sweep the enemy suddenly attacked. The Black Hawk troops did not retreat immediately, but looked for nearby shelters such as tree trunks and hillsides, and immediately launched a counterattack at once. A large number of bullets covered the hillside, and the 3 machine guns immediately fell silent. However, at the same time, 4 squads of infantry led by Di Yun and Zhao Fipeng rushed to both sides and fired at the Black Hawk troops. Most of the soldiers of the Black Hawk troops focused their attention on the hillside. When the 2 sides suddenly opened fire, they could not avoid the 360-degree gun line at the same time even if they leaned against the trees. In an instant, 20 to 30 people were shot and fell to the ground. Being hit from both sides, the pressure suddenly decreased, and the 3 machine guns sounded again. However, the quality of the Black Hawk Empire troops was quite strong. They quickly formed 3 waves of defense lines to defend against attacks from 3 directions. However, the ambush area could provide too few shelters. They had no way to avoid the crossfire, even though they were in large numbers and had more than 10 squad machine guns. Mortars attacked the high ground machine guns immediately. Seeing that they were about to be surrounded by the enemy, the commander of the Black Hawk unit stood up. An officer with the rank of lieutenant quickly issued an order, and 3 75mm mortars directly locked onto the machine gun points on the mountain. Puff puff puff. After 3 muffled sounds, Li Xiao saw that the machine gun positions were constantly exploding and filled with smoke. He hurriedly shouted, "Leng, how are you? It's okay. We're still okay." Mortars have strong suppression power on infantry and high damage, but Li Xiao couldn't resist adding more than 5,000 blood points to the 3 snipers this time. He added all the 50,000 blood points saved in the last attack on the Xianba team to snipers, machine gunners and other key firepower output professions. Although the mortars are powerful, as long as they are not hit directly and continuously, they are not so easy to die. As soon as the mortars opened fire, Xiao He quickly found their position, and the gunners who were firing continuously could not raise their heads. Seeing that the enemy's defense line seemed to be formed, Di Yun knew that he could not delay any longer, so he jumped out from behind the tree and shouted, "Assault team, go!" Di Yun's assault team, including him, had a total of 5 people. In addition to him, who had a terrifying 20,000 health points, the other 4 were veterans who survived the first week, and each of them had 8,000 or 9,000 health points. As soon as they launched the charge, the entire battle immediately entered a white-hot stage, and Zhao Fipeng and Leng He opened fire at the same time to cover. The Black Hawk troops were also stunned when they saw that the other side actually pulled up without any cover. Was it because they were afraid of their lives or because their brains were watts? So more than 2 squads of firepower were all directed at Di Yun and his team. Di Yun and his 5 people did not rush around. They kept using trees to avoid bullets along the way. Although they were constantly shot, they were not seriously injured. When they were still more than 20 meters away from the enemy, they threw the grenades they had prepared. Coincidentally, the soldiers of the Black Hawk unit had the same idea and threw more than a dozen grenades. But Di Yun and his 5 men were running, and those delayed grenades did not hit them directly. The shock wave of the explosion only slightly affected their charge. The Black Hawk unit in front did not dare to stand up and run wildly when faced with the grenades thrown, because that would become a target for the gun lines on both sides of Li Xiao's troops, so they could only roll on the spot to avoid. But how agile can these low-ranking soldiers be? 5 grenades almost took full damage, 6 people were killed on the spot, and several people were injured. However, this was not over yet. At this time, they took out the few captured stun bombs that Li Xiao had allocated to them and threw them at the center of the enemy's defense line. In a moment, the sound of muffled explosions rang out, and the stun bombs exploded one after another. Several screams came, and it seemed that many people were deafened and blinded. At a distance of 20 meters, the remaining 40 or 50 Black Hawk troops finally realized the horror of these 5 tough guys and turned their guns to shoot at them. But the countless bullets hitting them were like falling into the sea, and could not stop their progress at all. Chapter 40. My brother Tang is a god-level gunner. 2 Black Hawk soldiers carried the rocket launchers at this time, and 2 rockets flew out, but the distance was too close, and the rockets flew out without even hitting the target. The last killing method of the Black Hawk troops failed, and what was left was a one-sided massacre. Under attack from three sides, the Black Hawk soldiers had no chance to fight back. Diyun and the 5 men rushed in and almost killed each other indiscriminately. The Black Hawk lieutenant took a rifle and shot Diyun in the head 3 meters away. He fired more than 10 rounds in a row. Not only did he not see Diyun's blood splattering, but he saw the latter's evil smile. This ghostly shock caused the second lieutenant's worldview to collapse on the spot, and then he fell into the grass amidst the indifferent pap of the .05 pistol. At the end of the battle, Li Xiao counted the casualties and couldn't help but laugh. A platoon ambushed a company and there were 0 casualties. Who would believe this if told? Even Diyun's assault team, which had endured hundreds of rounds of bullets, still had more than 1,000 points of health left at the end, which simply made Li Xiaoshuang upset. Everyone cleans up the battlefield and evacuates immediately to rest. An ambush battle had just ended, and the health of the troops was very unhealthy, and they were no longer suitable to continue provoking the defenders of the transfer field. Zuo Fei, thank you for the hard work. Next, Zuo Fei, the medic who was spawned last night, has been on standby for a long time. With him around, the unit's health recovery speed will be greatly increased. Li, there are some medicines here, take them and distribute them to everyone. Li Xiao took out some bandages and painkillers that were left over from before. With these medicines used alone and the treatment of the medical soldiers, he could fully recover by noon at the latest. In this way, he still has 12 hours to clean up the remaining soldiers in the transfer field. Du Zidong also carried lunch to the resting point with Yang Zhao at this time. After all, there was a war not far from home, and it would be too uncomfortable to eat field rations. Li Xiao always thought about the troops. While eating, Li Xiao took stock of the loot. Apart from the rifles and machine guns, he found some good stuff. 2 rocket launchers and 2 75mm mortars previously used by the Black Hawks have been preserved, and there are still 4 rockets and a box of 5 mortars left on site. Haha. This is really a timely help. The icing on the cake, a light in a dark room. Li Xiao excitedly shouted to everyone, which of you can use rocket launchers and mortars, boss? I know how to use a rocket launcher, but I have never used a mortar. Zhao Fipeng stood up and said, and Li Xiao then looked at the others. What about you? Who knows how to use a mortar? Li Xiao glanced over, and everyone lowered their heads to aid in embarrassment. Well, Li Xiao didn't expect that among his dozens of people. He couldn't find anyone who knew how to use a mortar as long as there is only one person who can use this. The 4 heavy machine gun positions in the transfer field will not be knocked out in minutes. Boss, maybe I can try. Li Xiaozhang was a little depressed, and when he was about to ask Yun Dongli and Lianian if they had any good mortars, someone suddenly stood up. When he turned around, he was stunned. The person speaking was actually Du Zidong, the cook. Wow. Brother Teng, can you really shoot a mortar? Du Zidong put down the insulated box containing the lunchbox and touched his head sheepishly. I fired a few shots before, but I can't guarantee the accuracy. Oops. Nowadays, there are still some inaccurate ones. The requirements are not high. If you can kill 2 heavy machine gun positions with 5 rounds of artillery shells, then our chances of winning will be great. Then I'll give it a try. Du Zidong clenched his fist. When the time came to noon, Li Xiao led the troops to approach the transfer site again. Having just lost a company of troops, the Black Hawk troops at the transfer field finally began to become nervous. The patrol team kept patrolling inside and outside the barbed wire fence. The machine gunners on the heavy machine gun position were already standing in front of the machine guns, ready to fire at any time. Seeing this situation, Li Xiao turned around and said to Du Zidong, Brother Teng, my good brother, whether you can succeed in this or not depends entirely on you. Good. Taking a deep breath, Du Zidong began to adjust the mortar's firing angle. Although he had adjusted it many times, he still felt a little guilty. Finally he took the cannonball that Diyun handed over to him and put it into the mouth of the barrel. 3, 2, 1, bang. There was a crisp sound of metal slamming, and the shell flew out with a whoosh, leaving only black smoke spreading from the mouth of the tube in 2 to 3 seconds. Everyone saw a water tower at the transfer site exploded into pieces, and several tons of water flowed all over the ground. Damn it. I missed the target, Brother Du, can you do it? Zhao Fipeng said anxiously when he saw that the shot missed the target. Li Xiao interrupted Zhao Fipeng and said calmly, it's okay, we still have 4 rounds, come on, Brother Teng, this shell has alerted the enemy, and everyone in the Black Hawk unit has entered combat mode, but no one dares to leave the transfer site for the time being. Du Zidane wiped his sweat, recalculated the shooting elements, adjusted the angle, and turned his head to signal Diyun to load the gun. Bang! Boom! Damn it! Hit! Newbie! Brother Tang is mighty. Everyone watched helplessly as the first machine gun position in the direction of the main entrance turned into a ball of fire with a roar. 3 Black Hawk soldiers were blown away on the spot, and they all cheered. Li Xiao patted Du Zidane's shoulder and said excitedly, "Brother Tang, come again." As if he had found the feeling he had experienced before, Du Zidane turned into a gunner and fired 3 shells in succession, hitting 2 machine gun positions again. Seeing this, Li Xiao was so excited that he immediately ordered Zhao Fipeng, who had been prepared, to fire a rocket launcher. Zhao Fipeng and another scout soldier, who were about 100 meters away from the transfer yard, simultaneously carried rocket launchers and aimed at the 2 sentry towers. 2 fireballs flew into the air, the sentry tower platform exploded in the air, and steel plates and wooden boards flew everywhere. "Brothers! Go!" Diyun raised his arms and shouted, and dozens of infantry scouts rushed over a distance of 200 meters in less than half a minute and killed their way into the gate of the transfer yard. The Black Hawk troops had already organized a defense line and took the lead in firing. Several rockets flew into the charging crowd and exploded, and 4 infantrymen with less blood volume of Li Xiao were killed immediately. At the same time, countless grenades and explosive bombs gathered at the gate. For a while, Diyun and others were caught in the bombardment, and nearly 10 people fell to the ground in a moment. However, the Black Hawk troops only completed 2 rounds of their 3-pronged attack. When the 3rd round of bullets was about to be fired, Diyun's assault team had already rushed to their faces. The 5 people jumped into the Black Hawk troops of dozens or hundreds of people like a human boss and fired crazily, adding various flips and maneuvers. The Black Hawk troops that surrounded them opened fire together, but only a very small part of the bullets hit them. Instead, the Black Hawk troops were knocked down by their own bullets. The most terrifying thing was that Diyun and his men had no bullets, but they still had time to pick up the rifles that the Black Hawk troops had dropped on the ground. 5 people killed dozens of people at close range, making the Black Hawk Empire's soldiers dare not fire their guns, and they could not get close to them with bayonets. In just 1 or 2 minutes, the Black Hawk Empire's defense line that could originally resist 1 or 2 companies was torn apart by human flesh. Chapter 41 Abnormality of the Life Pool. The 20 or 30 soldiers who followed Li Xiao took advantage of the chaos and directly swept away. They didn't have to worry about whether Diyun and others would be hit by them. Anyway, it was over. This situation was unexpected by the commander of the Black Hawk troops. The troops located on the 2nd line of defense, that is, near the small building of the barracks dormitory, could only move forward for reinforcements. At this time, 2 more rockets hit from a distance, blocking the reinforcements. At the same time, they were also accompanied by Yang Yizhao and Xiao He's continuous target shooting interference. After another minute, the first line of defense was taken directly by Diyun and the others, and more than 100 Black Hawk soldiers were bleeding on the spot. Li Xiao's first wave suffered heavy losses, with 11 people killed. Diyun's assault team was lucky. After a sudden attack, they still had half health left. With such a close-range desperate style, it can be said that everyone is confused, such as the remaining Black Hawk soldiers number 70 and 80, who are currently hiding in the barracks and dormitories built in the wooden houses. Using the cargo pile in the transfer yard, Li Xiao's troops temporarily stopped for rest and treatment, and then prepared for the final decisive battle. At this time, Li Xiao remembered that he had destroyed 2 companies of Black Eagle troops, and his life pool should have more than 20,000 HP. If he added it to the troops at this time, it would be more stable. However, when he opened the real-time display of the life pool that he had closed before, he was shocked to find that there were more than 47,000 health points in the pool, and the durability of the vehicle had increased by more than 200,000. Fuck. What's going on? Li Xiao scratched his head. The combat effectiveness of the soldiers in those 2 companies was not high. Their military ranks should all be private. Plus the total health of the dozen or so officers definitely did not exceed 25,000. He had originally saved 4,000 health points to save his life, which means that now there are more than 18,000 extra health points out of thin air. Where did this blood come from? He was feeling a little strange when he suddenly found that the life pool jumped twice more, increasing his blood volume by 200 points. Li Xiao quickly looked at the corpses around him, The Black Hawk troops on the ground were all dead and not alive. Weird thing, Li Xiao thought for a while and didn't understand, so he just ignored it. Anyway, it would be a good thing to increase his blood volume now that he had 40,000 HP. Li Xiao was even more confident. He directly added 15,000 horsepower to Leng He and the other 3 machine gunners in addition to their original 4,000. The upper limit of health points reached 19,000 points. Although the machine gunners were each shot during the charge battle, the overall health volume was still over 18,000 points. Leng He, you will take the lead in the attack later. Diyun and his assault team are low on health and will cover you from behind. You have 150 rounds of bullets. Be sure to kill as many enemies as possible. Yes, clear. After arranging the attack ladder, Li Xiao opened the trading center and spent 500 star coins to buy 100 grenades and distributed them to the remaining 20 or 30 people present. The boardroom in the dormitory is only about 30 meters away. Even a girl can throw thunder in their faces. Everyone, be prepared. At the same time, the safety pins of 20 or 30 grenades were pulled out. Li Xiao gave an order, and with a clicking sound, all the grenades activated their fuses and were thrown into the air. Most of these grenades fell under the eaves of the first floor, and a few fell into the balcony on the second floor. Then there was a series of explosions. The entire dormitory building was instantly filled with black smoke, and countless steel ball shrapnel shattered the door made of heat insulation board. The walls were honeycombed. Come again. The second wave of grenades flew over, and this time the doors and windows were shattered. The Black Hawk soldiers inside could not bear the pressure and immediately fired back, but were immediately beaten back by Yan Yizhao's sniper team in the distance. Soon the third wave of grenades fell, and while all the Black Hawk troops were avoiding the grenades, all Li Xiao's troops rushed out after throwing the grenades. Boom boom boom. After the last batch of grenades exploded, it was too late when the enemy got up to fight back. Leng Dian had already rushed forward. 3 heavy machine guns directly blocked the 7 or 8 doors and all windows on the first floor. None of the exposed ones could escape at this time. The soldiers who rushed up from behind kicked open the door that was damaged by the grenade blast. The machine gunner rushed in and fired wildly against the dense bullets inside. Seeing that the first floor was breached, the enemies on the second floor all ran to the balcony to attack below, but the angle of the balcony made it as difficult for them to attack. When he tried to guard the stairs again, Diyun's assault team had already come up with bullets. At this time, Li Xiao in the distance saw an enemy with a rank of major suddenly jump out of the balcony. He quickly shouted, "Quick! Don't let that major escape." The first person to react was Zhao Fipeng, who was supporting from the outside. When he saw the opponent jump down, he immediately pulled out his pistol and fired continuously. However, the major landed and rolled to avoid all of Zhao Fipeng's bullets, and then pulled out his pistol to fight back. Zhao Fipeng obviously failed to react and was shot several times. Zhao Fipeng's instinctive action of dodging bullets gave the major a chance to escape. He ate a few rounds of bullets from the 2 soldiers who came to block him, then bypassed a pile of grain and wormed his way out of the barbed wire fence. Zhao Fipeng felt that he had lost face in front of Li Xiao and chased him out angrily, but Comrade Major's legs and feet were really weak, so Zhao Fipeng was stunned and did not catch up. However, Yan Yizhao and Xiao He, who were on the outside, shot each other. Unfortunately, the major did not lose his life and went straight to the south. Zhao Fipeng was still unwilling to give in. He ran to Yan Yizhao and rode on an all-terrain vehicle before chasing the major. Looking at the transfer yard, the battle has ended. Due to the strong suppression of the 3 machine gunners of Leng in the last wave of battle, the Black Hawk troops failed to exert their due firepower advantage and were eventually wiped out. Li Xiao asked Diyun to lead the team to clean up the battlefield, and he counted the supplies first. After clearing all the supplies, Li Xiao's the backpack had 400 bags of rice, 200 bags of flour and 350 cans of braised beef. There were not many vegetables, which could probably be enough for his own troops to eat for about 3 weeks. In addition, in terms of ammunition, only 20,000 rifle bullets, 10,000 heavy machine gun bullets, and 400 grenades were seized. Alice, Li Xia sighed. Li Xiao felt a little bit of a loss in this battle. 11 people were killed in exchange for 400 points and these supplies. Half an hour later, Zhao Fipeng ran back dejectedly. "Boss. He let that guy run away. It's okay, he's just a major, there's not much point in killing him." Li Xiao comforted him. "From now on, you and your scouts will be stationed in this transfer station. and pay attention to the movements in the direction of Zicheng at any time. This is equivalent to one of our outposts. Zhao Fipeng stood up straight. Don't worry, boss. The transfer station is just a material storage base of the Black Hawk Force and has no resource reserves, so it only has tactical defensive value to him. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42. I remembered something happy. After returning to the base, the soldiers were in a bad mood. After all, 1/4 of their comrades died. It would be a lie to say that they were not sad. Seeing that the morale was so low, Li Xiao had to stand up and say, I am responsible for the heavy casualties caused by today's battle. He held the dining table in the restaurant and continued, facing a force more than 6 times larger than ours, we achieved a casualty ratio of 1 to 30. But this is still not a reason for us to be happy. Because today 11 comrades left us, I thought we could successfully break through the first line of defense with our blood volume, but the enemy's heavy firepower was not what we had, which led to our casualties. So, Li Xiao said firmly, from now on, I will definitely learn from experience and lessons, and never let your blood and sweat flow in vain again. Long live the boss is invincible. These words are Li Xiao's self-examination, but the soldiers are very encouraged. After remembering the comrades who just died on the battlefield for a minute, everyone started to eat dinner. After dinner, Li Xiao opened the life pool again in the headquarters. He was surprised to find that the remaining 11,000 health points after the battle had risen to 19,000, and the vehicle durability had reached 300,000. What is going on? Could it be that the life pool has evolved to the point where it can automatically add blood? Just when he was puzzled, Li Xiao found that Yun Dongliu and Liunian were chatting in the team channel. Haha. Dongliu, you are good. You can think of this method. We made a lot of money this time, it's okay, but this method can only be used once, and it won't work the second time. It's okay, we each got more than 100 points, which is considered a big profit. Li Xiao asked curiously, what fortune did you two make? Old Xiao, I called you in the team channel before but you didn't reply. We went to do the Spark activity today, and then Dongliu took me to highway service area. Highway service area, it's nothing, Yun Dongliu said at this time. I have been watching that highway service area for a long time. There is an armored company inside, and civilian vehicles are allowed to enter and exit. We drove 3 off-road vehicles carrying 150 C4s in, and then parked next to the gas station and their armored convoy. Before Yun Dongliu finished speaking, Liunian interrupted and said, then when the Black Hawk troops were refueling at the gas station, we detonated 2 of them. The gas station and the armored vehicles were all blown away. It was also luck. Half of their convoy that was patrolling outside came back to reinforce, but unexpectedly the convoy was parked next to the last off-road vehicle, so an armored reconnaissance company was destroyed. Fuck. Isn't this too lucky? Li Xiao envied him. He had been struggling for a whole day and lost a squad of soldiers. He didn't expect these 2 guys to earn so easily. Yes, if it weren't for the 10 armored personnel carriers, we would only get about 200 points. Speaking of which, those armored personnel carriers are also very strong, with a durability of 30,000 per unit. Wait a minute. What did you say? Li Xiao, who was originally envious, shouted in shock when he heard Liunian's last sentence. Wow, Lao Xiao, why are you so excited? What did I say? No, you just said how much durability the armored personnel carrier has. 30,000. What's wrong? 30,000 30,000. 30,000. Ho ha ho ha? Li Xiao laughed crazily, and Liunian said strangely, Lao Xiao, you can't be that serious, we haven't made a fortune, jealousy will make people perverted. Brother, Li Xiao couldn't help but be ecstatic. Before, he had been wondering how the health of the life pool was automatically increased, but now he knew. It turned out that the health of the enemies killed by Liunian, Yun Dongliu, and Yun Ying could also be counted into his life pool. The evidence was the 10 armored personnel carriers they killed. He didn't destroy any vehicles in today's battle, and the additional durability was exactly 300,000 plus. Li Xiao didn't believe in coincidences. He then asked Yun Dongliu and the other 2 about the specific kill data, which was basically the same as the additional health. Many soldiers in the armored company are privates first class, And there are also many corporals, otherwise they would not be able to get nearly 200 points by killing 80 or 90 people in one click. Wow, Lao Xiao, what are you laughing at? I'm curious, haha, nothing, I just remembered something happy. After discovering the awesome function of the life pool, Li Xiao couldn't help but have a terrible idea in his mind. Well, Li Unian Dongliu, if you come across suitable players in the near future, bring them into the team. The more people, the better, the more people, the better, Li Unian said puzzledly, we want any level. Bringing them in will cause a lot of trouble and be a burden. It will be difficult to deal with those who have ulterior motives, it's okay. As long as we don't reveal the location of our base, we can talk about important matters in private. At this time, Yun Dongliu also spoke up. He agreed with Li Xiao's opinion, it's time for us to add some members. Proper benefits can make it easier to attract people. Recently, I have met many players in Xichen. When they eat and have fun in the city, they mostly talk about the team. It sounds like more and more teams are being formed recently. That's right, there is strength in numbers. Yun Ying also came out and said, everyone has begun to realize the importance of the team. It is not easy to survive in this strange world, and it is even more difficult to do well. Joining the team obviously has both. Yun Ying hit the point. Li Xiao praised, in the future, conflicts will undoubtedly involve the team level. If there is no one in the team, it will not be tough to go out and grab territory. After everyone discussed, they unanimously agreed to recruit members above level 4. As for benefits, Li Xiao decided to pay out of his own pocket to give each 100 star coins per person week. Don't underestimate 100 star coins. Now you can exchange them for 600 points in exchange for resources. The daily income of a normal level 4 player may not reach 600 points, although Liu Nian and Yun Dongliu are a little worried about whether Li Xiao can bear this kind of benefits. He knows very well that he is looking forward to having dozens or hundreds of members at this moment, so that his life pool will increase. At that time, which stronghold will not be easy and enjoyable. At that time, which stronghold will not be easy and enjoyable. Night, Li Xiao opened the Spark Event Redemption page. He had a total of 420 points, most of which he exchanged for resources, leaving only 20 points to buy an equipment box. Chapter 43, so fleshy that it can take off. This event still requires 5 points per resource box, but the quantity of steel and fuel has increased from 100 to 500, and the rare ore has also increased to 250. The resources required to upgrade the 8th level base are 90,000 steel, 90,000 fuel, 40,000 rare minerals, and 10,000 star coins. The amount of resources was so huge that even if Li Xiao really wanted the equipment box, he had to compromise 30 steel boxes, 30 fuel tanks, and 20 rare ore boxes are still 4/6 away from being upgraded after being opened. Li Xiao went through the last equipment box again and again. Last time, flying a drone helped him a lot. At the last critical moment, he had to hit Naihu to save Yun Ying. He hoped that there would be another one this time, at least it would save a lot of trouble during normal surveillance and investigation. As the equipment box disappeared from in front of him, an extra gun appeared in Li Xiao's backpack. Li Xiao knew this gun was an antimatter sniper rifle as soon as he saw its fist-sized muzzle break and a barrel that was twice as large in diameter as a rifle. M21 antimatter sniper rifle, a large caliber semi-automatic rifle used to counter enemy light armor or fortification targets. The gun has a capacity of 10 rounds and uses 12.7 mm armor-piercing incendiary bombs or armor-piercing explosive incendiary bombs. It has an effective range of 800 meters against armored fortifications and an effective range of 2,000 meters against clusters of living targets. What horrified Li Xiao was that the damage caused by this antimatter sniper rifle to human targets under standard protection was as high as 2,000 points, which meant that in principle, those with a rank of lieutenant colonel or below would be reimbursed on the spot if hit head-on, and its damage against vehicles is even more terrifying. 1,005 shots per shot, and a civilian off-road vehicle is almost useless with just one shot. The Tiger H9 military off-road vehicle that is about to roll off the production line in Li Xiao military factory can only hold a magazine. Newbie, Li Xiao can only use 2 words to describe it. This gun comes with 100 rounds of armor-piercing explosive and incendiary bombs. If you are not hit head-on by it, the scattering warheads produced by the explosive and incendiary bombs will also cause a lot of damage. Harm when he handed the M101 to Yan Yizhao, this guy who was always taciturn and comparable to Yun Dongliu cursed and immediately decided to sleep with it from now on. Zichen, In the command center building of the Yongchang Synthetic Regiment of the Black Hawk Empire, a man wearing the uniform of a major in the Black Hawk Empire stood in front of the desk in a somewhat embarrassed manner behind the table. A middle-aged man with slightly white hair on his temples was looking at the other person with a stern face, and the rank of the lieutenant colonel was clearly hanging on his shoulders. Shaking the cigar ashes from his hand, the lieutenant colonel said solemnly, "A mechanized infantry battalion. More than 300 people were completely wiped out by an enemy who could only be considered a reinforced platoon. You, the commander, are all thinking, are you pretending to be shit, Captain? I have been following you for 6 years. Do you think I would be so stupid? He is really poisonous after he attacked our team this time." Poisonous? What is poisonous? The lieutenant colonel had a look on his face that I didn't believe. The leader is like this. The major talked a lot with words and gestures. After a long time, the lieutenant colonel said, half convinced, "There is such a thing. It seems necessary to send someone to investigate." The lieutenant colonel picked up the phone on the table with his right hand and dialed a number. "Please come over, Commander Zhang Yuan of the 3rd Combined Battalion." The lieutenant colonel put down the phone, thought for a while and said in a deep voice, "I will report this matter to the brigade headquarters. You are temporarily suspended pending investigation. Get out." The major looked helpless and walked out dejectedly. After a while, another major officer came in. This thin-looking officer with sharp eyes walked up to the lieutenant colonel and saluted. "Commander, you are looking for me, Zhang Tian. Something happened in the infantry camp over at the transfer station, but the situation is a bit complicated. You need to send someone out to investigate." "Yes. I'm going right now." At night, Li Xiao stood at the end of the modular production line of the military factory. In front of him was a Tiger H9 military off-road vehicle painted in grass-green camouflage. Judging from the model provided by the military factory, the Tiger H9 is already very powerful and domineering, and now the real car is even more powerful. In front of you, the thick bulletproof steel guard plate on the front of the car and the square and thick hood can be said to combine the aesthetics of all men. The brand new 22-inch run-flat tires are all densely packed with anti-skid teeth, giving people great confidence. Of course, the most important thing is the rotating machine gun position with the bulletproof steel plate on the roof. Mount the heavy machine gun. The Tiger H9 does not come with a machine gun, and players can only carry light and heavy machine guns according to their needs. Li Xiao had 6 or 7 Mk48 heavy machine guns in his hand. 2,000 rounds of 12.7 mm machine gun ammunition were seized from the Cheyenne militia by accident last time. Li Xiao bought another 3,000 rounds at the trading center. Now, after Lang mounted the heavy machine gun, he loaded it with 5,000 rounds of machine gun ammunition. It was a fair spatch. For this first Tiger H9, Li Xiao planned to use Di Yunling and 3 other infantrymen with 15,000 horsepower to form an assault vehicle, and use them to break through the enemy's defense line in subsequent battles. It was absolutely fierce, of course. This was not over yet. Li Xiao changed hands and added 110,000 durability points to the vehicle, so the military bulletproof off-road vehicle exploded in an instant. Tisk tisk. If I use this car to rush through the first wave of defense during the day, then I will lose if one person dies. After an uneventful night, Li Xiao woke up early and found several messages from the system. When he opened it, he saw that 4 or 5 people had been brought in so quickly. Most were at level 4, and one was at level 5. He hurriedly greeted these new members in the team channel and immediately issued the first welfare payment. He now has more than 8,000 star coins left, which is still affordable. After dealing with these things, Li Xiao began to think about resources. The 90,000 points of single resources for the 8th level base are really no joke. If he can get a large resource area and make full use of his 7 engineers, then the advantage he thinks he has now will be lost. Last night, when he was browsing the chat channel, someone said that he had upgraded to a 6th level base with a resource area conquered by the team, so he called Zhao Fipeng and asked him to go to the northern suburbs of Xichen to see if there are any large resource areas that can be conquered so that everyone in the team can get a share. In the afternoon, on the national highway, an armored convoy was moving, led by 2 military off-road vehicles and 2 armored combat vehicles with a heavy machine gun and 2 parallel light machine guns. The second echelon was 5 armored personnel carriers, each with a heavy machine gun mounted on top, followed by an armored command vehicle equipped with an antenna receiver and various communication devices, and 2 armored personnel carriers. The 12 vehicles advanced rapidly northward, their exhaust fumes covering the entire lane. Chapter 44. Chang Yaojin shows up halfway. Report to the company commander. We are 3 kilometers away from the transfer station. Please give instructions. In the command vehicle, the intercom received a message from the front reconnaissance, and next to him, a dark-skinned captain was resting his eyes. He waited for more than 10 seconds, then slowly opened his mouth and said, "The troops stopped advancing, and the assault team searched along the woods on both sides. If you find the target, you must not engage in fire. Report immediately." Understood. After the order was issued, the entire convoy stopped quickly, and 5 fully armed Imperial soldiers got off the 2 off-road vehicles. They jumped off the shoulders on both sides and entered the forest area to start searching. Company commander, why did you start searching from here? Do you have accurate information? The communicator next to the captain asked curiously, looking outside the car. Intuition tells me that a troop that repeatedly harasses the base must not be stationed too far away. We can conservatively estimate that clues can be found within 10 kilometers. Oh, in the quiet forest, Sniper Zio he was chewing beef jerky. Today it was his turn to monitor the south side of the base, but he had been lying for a whole morning and there was nothing unusual, so he found a cool place to replenish his energy. Just as he drank a sip of instant orange juice, he saw 4 or 5 dark shadows swaying in the woods in the distance. The sniper's instinct made him lower his body immediately and quickly aim the sniper scope straight ahead. It's the Black Hawk unit. Damn, Zio he thought to himself that it was not good. This place was only 2 kilometers away from the base. If these 4 or 5 people were not dealt with, they would soon find the location of the base. But once the shooting was opened, it was equivalent to exposing the location. Should I shoot or retreat and report? After a brainstorming, Zio he decided to kill them. There was no signalman around him, and his individual communication equipment could not be networked with a signalman, so he could not contact the base. By the time he went back to report the situation, the search team might have already reached the gate of the base. After checking his health, which was 2,000 points, Zio he became much bolder, aiming at the first person and pulling the trigger without hesitation. Bang! The first bullet instantly hit the target's head, but the damage of this bullet did not kill the third-class soldier. However, Zio he had a QBU-10 semi-automatic sniper rifle in his hand, which could fire continuously at the same time as the first bullet hit. The second and third bullets were fired. The third-class soldier was shot in the head and twice in the chest, and his 150 points of health were instantly emptied. There is a sniper. Hide. The search team leader immediately ordered to hide on the spot, and at the same time said to the communications soldier with a radio terminal and satellite phone behind him, quickly notify the command vehicle. The second search team was attacked, requesting quick support. Understood. After Zio he killed the first one, he had no angle to shoot the second Imperial soldier, so he had to move immediately and wanted to find a gun line from the side, but this team had no intention of confronting him at all. They just threw smoke bombs on the spot and retreated at the same time. Zhao Fipen, who was riding an all-terrain vehicle to the south, heard gunshots from the forest area on the right and rushed over immediately. Zio he observed for a while but did not see the Imperial troops. Instead, he saw Zhao Fipeng and told him the situation immediately. This situation is very important. It is related to the safety of the base. You continue to be alert here. I will go back and report immediately. In the armored company command vehicle parked on the side of the road, the captain who received the report from the reconnaissance team ordered the convoy to move forward without hesitation, and the armored combat vehicles and armored personnel carriers rushed to the front. It seems that our target is within the range of 5 kilometers ahead. Go 2 kilometers forward and send troops to search comprehensively. It is expected that before the sun sets, we may be able to annihilate the target and return home. The armored convoy stopped near the search team was attacked. 40 Imperial soldiers got off the 5 armored personnel carriers in front. They quickly got into the forest area and met with the search team on standby. However, just 1 minute after they left, a large number of soldiers wearing starry sky camouflage suddenly appeared near the drainage ditch behind the convoy on the road. They approached quickly along the drainage ditch on both sides of the road. 1 minute later, when they were only 400 or 500 meters away from the convoy, 4 rockets flew towards the 2-wheeled armored personnel carriers at the rear without warning. In a moment, the rear of the troop carrier was hit by bullets one after another, and the powerful metal jets penetrated the rear door continuously, killing nearly half of the soldiers in the car. However, even after such an attack, the health of this wheeled armored personnel carrier was still nearly half. This wave of attacks scared the captain in the command vehicle, and he hurriedly ordered the 2 combat vehicles at the head to turn around and reinforce. Damn Xianyu militia. Really haunting, the Black Hawk troops reacted quickly. Almost all vehicles turned their guns at the first time, and more than a dozen heavy machine guns fired at the same time, immediately pressing the sneak attack troops off the road. However, this was not a good thing. The sneak attack troops turned into the forest area and began to encircle from both wings. A large number of bullets flew out of the woods, accompanied by rockets and small caliber mortars. From time to time the captain realized that he was in the open and the enemy was in the dark. His heavy machine gun would probably not cause casualties to the enemy except for wasting bullets. His armored convoy was a large target, and the enemy's bullets hitting the vehicle body would weaken its durability. It was okay for a short time, but it would be dangerous if it lasted for a long time. Recall the search team immediately. Make sure to crush these bastards today. The bullets between the Black Hawks and the Xianyu militia were exchanged back and forth, and the trees between them were damaged. Many trunks of trees 20 to 30 centimeters thick were cut off by heavy machine gun bullets. What? The Black Hawks have invaded within 3 kilometers of us. Li Xiao, who was still taking a nap in bed, sat up suddenly. Li outside the door confirmed, yes, Zhao Fipeng just came back to report, and now there is a new situation. On the Southern National Highway. It seems that a battle broke out about 3 kilometers away from us, and there are constant gunshots. It's really lively. Gather the troops immediately. Let's go and see. Li Xiao couldn't sit still in this situation. The enemy was about to touch the front of the base. If he didn't go out to explore the situation, the base might be bombed while he was sleeping at night. Before setting off, Li Xiao used the 3 subscription orders from last night. Most of the troops he obtained were infantry, and this time he added a scout. Li Xiao gathered a 30-man army and set off. He took the Tiger H9 driven by Di Yun to approach the battlefield first. When he saw the spectacular scene of 12 armored vehicles firing at the forest area on the road, he couldn't help but gasp. If the enemy finds his base, how can he defend it? Thank God, this magic weapon came from somewhere to help me avoid disaster. Chapter 45 Light Armor Nemesis. Under the cover of the heavy machine guns on the armored vehicles, Li Xiao saw a platoon of Imperial soldiers entering the forest, seemingly starting an attack. The firepower of the unknown forces in the forest should be less than a company, with only a few squad machine guns as the main firepower. Facing the covering fire of the Black Hawk Empire, they could only retreat step by step. It seems that we should do our part, otherwise when our teammates in the forest are defeated, we will suffer. Di Yun drove up and crashed into their faces. Boss, we can't blow up these armored vehicles in a short time if we crash into them. Instead, we will be blown up by the opponent. There are more than a dozen heavy machine guns, Li Xiao said unhappily. I'm not asking you to rush to the side to eat the gun line, just go to the front of the front car, so that at most 2 machine guns can hit us. What if they send the vehicles behind to double team us, then run away? We have 120,000 durability, and it will take a while for them to shoot us. We harass them repeatedly, and the friendly forces in the forest will have a chance to counterattack. Okay. Then go. Seeing that Li Xiao had made up his mind, Di Yun stepped on the accelerator without hesitation and rushed towards the Black Hawk armored forces. When the car turned a corner and appeared in the field of vision of the armored convoy, the leading car immediately saw Li Xiao and his team, and then the 12.7mm machine gun bullets hit their heads. The target of the vehicle is very large, and it is very difficult to dodge the bullets, but Li Xiao and his team are not afraid at all, and the health volume of 120,000 is there. Company commander. A military off-road vehicle rushed over in front of the convoy. Another voice came from the intercom. The captain looked at the forest opposite from the observation hole of the command vehicle and said angrily, "What is an off-road vehicle reporting? As long as it opens fire, blow it up for me." But, it can't be blown up? It can't be blown up at all. Bang! With a heavy sound of metal clashing, the Tiger H9 crashed fiercely in front of an armored transport vehicle, and the machine gunners on the roofs of both sides immediately fired at each other. The machine gun position on the top of the off-road vehicle has no steel plate protection, and the troop carrier only has steel plates on the side and rear, and there is no protection on the front. So at the moment of the exchange of fire, both sides were shot several times. The machine gunner Leng He had 19,000 horsepower points, and he was not hurt at all after being hit by more than a dozen heavy machine gun bullets with a damage of more than 100. However, the machine gunner opposite him was not so tough, and he was killed by 5 machine gun bullets. The second armored personnel carrier saw that something was wrong and quickly turned its gun to support, but the result was the same. It was silenced by Leng. After a few shots, two soldiers climbed up the two armored personnel carriers one after another and wanted to operate the machine guns to blow up the Tiger H-9 again, but they were knocked down before they could pull the trigger. For a while, no one came to attack them. There were still soldiers in the two armored personnel carriers, but no one dared to jump out of the car or go to the machine gun position to set up the gun. Company commander. Request reinforcements. That off-road vehicle is too weird. The machine gunner can't be killed at all, and even the car can't be blown up, the soldiers shouted in fear on the intercom. An invincible machine gunner, the captain's heart skipped a beat. He couldn't help but think of what the defeated Major Battalion commander said yesterday. Wasn't it just such an enemy that was hard to kill that they encountered? He seemed to realize the danger and quickly grabbed the intercom and shouted, "M3 Cavalry Fighting Vehicle Reinforcements, we are in big trouble." The two fighting vehicles that were originally firing at the forest area received the order and quickly turned around and rushed to the front of the convoy. Li Xiao, who was still waiting for Zhao Fipeng's troops to arrive, found that two armored fighting vehicles were coming and immediately ordered Di Yun to turn around and flee. Di Yun had just adjusted the direction with a tailspin, and two heavy machine guns and four light machine guns opened fire on him. The bullets hit the car, and the durability value dropped by hundreds or thousands of HP per second. Leng, he was also dumbfounded when he looked at the fighting vehicle. The light and heavy machine guns of this fighting vehicle were all wrapped inside the turret, leaving only the muzzle outside, and his machine gun bullets could not hit anyone at all. Seeing this, Li Xiao ordered Di Yun to retreat faster while he fired back, but he fired only a few dozen rounds before he was suppressed by the light machine gun on the opposite side. He was hit by more than 20 bullets and could not bear it, so he had to retreat into the car. Damn it. What should I do, he asked nervously with a bandage on his body. Li Xiao was a little panicked when he saw that the health of the Tiger H-9 had dropped by 30,000 durability in just 20 seconds. He pulled a headset and shouted, "Zhao Fipeng, where are you?" After a few seconds, Zhao Fipeng panted and replied, "There are still 900 meters. After receiving the reply, Li Xiao casually added 30,000 durability to the car. The captain saw Li Xiao's off-road vehicle retreating in a hurry, and shouted coldly with a walkie-talkie, "The combat vehicles continue to pursue," and the rest of the troops pushed the Xianyu troops back. Probably without the suppression of the two combat vehicles, the pressure on Xianyu was reduced suddenly, and there was a momentum to rush out again. But the M3 cavalry fighting vehicle mentioned by the captain is an armored support vehicle after all, and its speed cannot catch up with the Tiger off-road vehicle, but the death order they received was to continue chasing. Even if the off-road vehicle was getting farther and farther away, they could only keep up and use their firepower advantage to continuously reduce the durability of the enemy vehicle, and try to blow up the vehicle before losing it. Damn it. How can the durability of a military off-road vehicle be so weak? We have clearly hit it with hundreds of bullets. Do you want to continue chasing? I'm worried that there are reinforcements ahead. How can we not chase them? If they come back later, we will all be in trouble. But at this moment, the machine gun turret of the first combat vehicle in the row suddenly exploded with a bang, followed by screams from the vehicle. It was the shooter operating the machine gun in the turret who was bloody and rolled into the bottom cockpit like a ball of fire. Without waiting for everyone to react, the second, third and fourth shots came, and almost every shot could leave deep bullet marks on their seemingly solid armor. From time to time, a bullet would penetrate the steel plate and hit the cockpit. Of course, this is not over yet. The target they were chasing had turned around and fired at them, and there were more rifles and light machine guns around them shooting at them. Retreat quickly. There is an ambush ahead. The two combat vehicles chased for 1 kilometer and turned around to flee again. Seeing this, Li Xiao asked Di Yun to stop the car, and he replaced Yan Yizhao, who was holding the M101 anti-material sniper rifle. It was much easier when the off-road vehicle chased a combat vehicle. Yan Yizhao fired wildly at the damaged combat vehicle at the narrow angle created by Di Yun. Although the powerful recoil of the anti-materials hurt Yan Yizhao, he did not feel uncomfortable on his face, but was excited instead. Damn! This combat vehicle has too much HP. It has not exploded even after 3 magazines were used up. Yan Yizhao replaced the magazine and put the combat vehicle full of bullet holes and about to rush into the armored convoy into the crosshairs. Bang! Another armor-piercing explosive incendiary bomb was fired, and the next second the combat vehicle exploded directly while moving. In a flash of fire, the vehicle turned into a flaming combat vehicle and lost control and rolled off the shoulder of the road. Chapter 46. Who said meat has no taste? Yes. Finally destroyed, Li Xiao excitedly watched the durability value in the life pool increase by 50,000 points. The durability value of this combat vehicle was 20,000 higher than that of the armored personnel carrier. Looking at the durability of the Tiger off-road vehicle, it was hit by 2 combat vehicles and reduced by 80,000 points. Li Xiao felt distress. Fortunately, 50,000 durability points were replenished in time, so Li Xiao was not too bad. Keep going and destroy the other one. Yan Yizhao killed a combat vehicle and 5 members in the vehicle, and was directly promoted to the rank of corporal. This rapid increase in experience made him feel so happy that he urged Di Yun to charge. Li Xiao also added 80,000 durability to the Tiger off-road vehicle. The durability limit of this tank has increased sharply to 200,000, and the actual health has also recovered to 150,000 points. Company Commander. That off-road vehicle is back. They have anti-material sniper rifles. The communicator in the escaped combat vehicle reported the situation in panic, and the captain officer had already seen the combat vehicle that exploded and caught fire. At this time, the threat in the forest was very small for them. He hurriedly recalled the 40-man reconnaissance team that had gotten off the car before to surround the Tiger off-road vehicle. At a time, light and heavy machine guns and rockets all greeted Yun and his men. Only one vehicle attracted the firepower of the entire armored company at this time. Leng He did not care about the dense bullets and gave priority to firing at the machine gun positions of all armored vehicles to reduce the enemy's output, and Yan Yizhao continued to output mindlessly to the remaining combat vehicle. But after all, they were alone and weak. No matter how much durability the off-road vehicle had, it could not withstand the heavy firepower of a company. The durability value quickly dropped below 100,000. And it was still losing thousands of points per second. Leng He was also hit by concentrated fire, and his health dropped to 5,000 points. He could only shrink his head and shoot blindly. Whether he hit or not was entirely up to fate. Fortunately, Zhao Fipeng and his men finally arrived at this time. Although their rifle bullets had low damage to armored vehicles, they had no problem hitting the shooters at the machine gun positions of armored vehicles. The situation on the battlefield suddenly changed. The enemy machine gunners were suppressed, giving Leng He room to attack. At the same time, the mysterious troops that had been suppressed in the woods for a long time also rushed to the side of the road. Under the three-way fire attack, it was the 2 military off-road vehicles of the Black Hawk Empire that were blown up first. Next came the remaining M3 cavalry armored combat vehicle. When that vehicle exploded, Li Xiao added another 50,000 durability to the off-road vehicle. The current situation is that more than 100 rifles on the periphery besieged the remaining 7 armored personnel carriers and a command vehicle. The machine gunners of the Empire troops stood on the top of the armored vehicles and were hit by dozens of bullets from 2 directions every second. They had no way to aim and shoot back, and could only fire blindly to counterattack. But they could defeat the scattered soldiers around, but they could not suppress the Tiger SUV. They could not blow up the Tiger SUV with concentrated fire. The infantry did not dare to open the door and get out to block the attack. There were only 6 or 7 people left in each vehicle, and the total force was less than 2 platoons. Retreat. Retreat quickly. The captain officer gave the retreat order helplessly. The Tiger SUV, the main target, could not be blown up, and their armored vehicle's health was consumed to less than 60% on average. If they did not retreat, they would have to die here. Li Xiao saw that the enemy's command vehicle began to turn around, and hurriedly shouted into the headset, Di Yun, rush up. Kill the command vehicle first. Hearing the order, Di Yun did not care about the armored vehicle that was about to explode in front of him, and shifted gears and swung out in one direction. Leng He also heard the order from the headset, and the heavy machine guns were madly pouring bullets. Yan Yizhao only had more than 10 bullets left after he shot down 2 combat vehicles. He did not open fire until Di Yun approached to a distance of dozens of meters. Bang! 12.7 mm armor-piercing explosive incendiary bombs continuously hit the rear door of the vehicle, leaving circular cracks. Each bullet was terrifying. The captain picked up the intercom with sweat on his forehead and shouted, "Stop the off-road vehicle!" Behind the command vehicle, 2 armored personnel carriers that had just started heard the order and quickly occupied the 2 roads. Di Yun was only 2 seconds away from overtaking. Seeing that the command vehicle had slipped away from under their noses, Leng He and Yan Yizhao vented their anger on the two armored vehicles with residual blood. Seeing that the vehicle was about to explode, the soldiers in the two vehicles got out of the rear door one after another before they could run away. The other two infantrymen in the car leaned out of the window and swept them. No one could escape at the same time. Zhao Fipeng and the friendly forces in the forest area also rushed out. The remaining armored vehicles almost stepped on the accelerator to the bottom, ignoring the flying bullets, and forcibly knocked open the wreckage of the two scrapped armored vehicles and rushed out. Diyun was originally blocked by the armored vehicle, and the off-road vehicle had too little horsepower. He was at a loss for a solution, but this helped him a lot. He stepped on the accelerator and the speed instantly rose to 100 km per hour. The command vehicle, which had not run far, was caught up again. The captain, who had just relaxed, found that the damn off-road vehicle had caught up again, and his mentality exploded. Block him in the two-way lane. However, the words were light, and the armored vehicle was not as flexible as the off-road vehicle. It dodged left and right and passed the armored vehicle that tried to block the road, and rushed to the side of the command vehicle and drove side by side. Because the command vehicle was equipped with a lot of communication equipment, it was not equipped with vehicle-mounted weapons on the top, and there were only rifle shooting holes on the sides and the back. But the rifles of the two soldiers only caused a small amount of damage to the off-road vehicle, and Leng He loaded the last 500-round ammunition box at this time and fired violently at the command vehicle. In a dozen seconds, Yan Yizhao fired the last two armor-piercing shells, and the captain and his signalman died together with the command vehicle in despair. The 5 half-damaged armored personnel carriers behind panicked when they saw the command vehicle exploded, and they all rushed to escape. Diyun did not slow down the car, and kept a certain distance from these armored vehicles, but in order to survive, the soldiers in these 5 armored vehicles desperately operated the heavy machine guns and fought with Leng He. He had little blood left, and his bullets were quickly exhausted. Finally, after firing the last bullet, he blew up one of the armored personnel carriers. Seeing this situation, Diyun knew that it was impossible to stop the remaining enemies, so he simply stepped on the accelerator and turned into the dirt road of the transfer yard in front. The Black Hawk troops naturally could not chase Diyun anymore, and all of them accelerated and rushed across the intersection to escape to Zicheng. Li Xiao went up to the curb and looked at the messy battlefield and the corpses of the Black Hawk troops. He was very happy in his heart. This wave was a blood prophet. He glanced at the friendly troops cleaning up the battlefield on the other side of the road. These people were not polite. They took advantage of him before he even opened his mouth. So one person walked over. The number of troops that suddenly appeared was about 1 company. Their uniforms were the combat uniforms of the Xianai Republic. Seeing Li Xiao walking over, a man with dark complexion, handsome appearance and upright posture also walked out from the other side's crowd. Chapter 47, Getting Along with the Natives. The opponent was carrying a tactical backpack, an AK-112 rifle on his body, a pistol on each thigh, and a pair of cool goggles on his face. Although the beige baseball cap was blackened by the smoke, it added to his true character as a man. Hello. Team Xiaoyao, Li Xiao, Team Xiaoyao? My name is Changzan. I can't tell you the specific number. Anyway, you just need to recognize this outfit. Li Xiao's lips curved. Of course, today's battle is thanks to you for exchanging fire with the Black Hawk troops in advance, otherwise I might be in danger. Changzan seems to be the kind of person who doesn't smile, and these locals seem to have some prejudices against travelers. If they are not united, they probably won't talk to you. Many people on the national chat channel have said this. It is said that a buddy got angry and went to the red light district to comfort a woman who had lost her footing. Unexpectedly, when people learned that he was an outsider, they directly refused the charity transaction. That's a coincidence. The northern part of Zicheng is our activity area. Our investigators found out that the armored company troops left the city and immediately set up an ambush. Li Xiao was impressed by Changzan's words. A guerrilla combat force with 110 people and insufficient equipment dared to ambush a full reconnaissance company. He really didn't know whether Changzan was too confident or just out of his mind. If he hadn't arrived for reinforcements today, this unit wouldn't even be able to blow up a single vehicle, and would just have to get into the woods. Of course, he didn't dare to say this, perhaps because he had no choice but to do so. After all, his home was occupied and all his troops were wiped out. It was already very heroic for someone to stand up and continue to resist. Brother Changzan, Since you are operating in this area, I also need information about this area. I wonder if we can jointly sharing information. Chang Zhan hesitated. You have also seen the combat effectiveness of my troops, but my troops are limited and cannot take care of too many places. With your intelligence and my troops, I believe today's victory is not the only one. After listening to Li Xiao's words, Chang Zhan was obviously moved. It sounds good, but how can we contact him? There is a dirt road 2 kilometers south from here. The transfer field there is an outpost set up by me. If you have information or actions, you can notify the defenders there. Li Xiao paused for a moment and then said, of course, you can also send your communications troops to station at the outpost, so that the intelligence transmission will be faster. Chang Zhan glanced at Li Xiao, nodded and said, I will consider it, thank you. Li Xiao gave the other party a slight salute. In this case, we will withdraw first, and the spoils here are all yours. Li Xiao thought it was indeed too difficult for Chang Zhan to do that. Back at the base, Li Xiao looked at the life pool. He had actually annihilated not many living targets today, only 30 or 40 people. However, 8 vehicles were killed, including 2 M3 cavalry combat vehicles with a durability of 50,000, and 2 military off-road vehicles with a durability of 10,000. There are also 5 30,000 durable armored personnel carriers and command vehicles. A total of 270,000 durability points were harvested, but in the middle of the battle, Li Xiao added 130,000 to the Tiger off-road vehicle, but actually only received 140,000, including the original total. There is still 380,000 durability left in terms of health points. He has now saved a little over 10,000. Since the team began to recruit more members, his health points have increased every day, although it is not a lot, but fortunately he does not have to use it himself. Diyun quickly drove the car back, and Li Xiao quickly asked Yiming to repair the car and refill the fuel. Now the durability of this car is as high as 250,000, and the durability value has been fully repaired. It is simply abnormal to drive it. After going back to the restaurant and eating a bowl of canned beef noodle soup, Li Xiao went straight back to the headquarters to sleep. Fighting was really hard on the body and mind. But before he fell asleep, Yun Dongliu's voice came. As soon as he picked up the voice, Yun Dongliu said, Captain, for some reason this morning, a Black Hawk armored company originally stationed in Qiao Town, west of Zicheng, was suddenly transferred. As soon as I got the news, I brought 2 teammates with me. The troops went over to seize it. Qiao Town? Is that the big town stronghold you mentioned last time with a resource refresh rate of 20,000 per day? Yes, Yun Dongliu confirmed. Li Xiao wanted to laugh a little. It seemed that the transferred armored company should be the same unit that came to search for him. Then what? As soon as we entered the camp, a team called Hulu came and over 400 people came and forcibly expelled us. We only had 80 people, so we had no choice but to retreat. Li Xiao said calmly, there is nothing to say about the weak and the strong, but Qiao Town has a large resource output, and there are not many such resource areas around Zicheng, so we cannot let it go. Want to fight? Of course we're going to fight. You first ask 2 team members to check their hometowns. It's best to find the battle captain's base. Okay, I'll do it right away. After hanging up the voice, Li Xiao immediately informed Liunian to say hello to all the members, and there would be an action next. As the captain, Li Xiao naturally cannot do everything himself. He should be at the helm and seek greater benefits for his team members. That is what he should do. His plan was to gather his troops to fight the looming team in Qiao Town tomorrow, so he had to prepare all his troops tonight. After Yiming's continuous repairs, the durability of the previous Tiger off-road vehicle has reached 150,000, and it should be restored to full value before setting off tomorrow. However, today's battle used up all his machine gun ammunition reserves, and he had to buy more from the trading center. Not only bullets, but also the durability of the previous heavy machine guns decreased rapidly due to continuous firing. It is estimated that it will be reimbursed before tomorrow's battle. He looked at the number of star coins in his backpack and found that there were more than 6,000 left. He gritted his teeth and spent 300 star coins to buy 2 heavy machine guns, and spent another 2,000 star coins to buy 10,000 machine gun bullets. Now the battles are very fierce everywhere, and the price of bullets has soared. Originally, 1 star coin could buy 20 to 30 bullets, but now it can only buy 10 to 14 rounds. The 12 and 7mm bullets of heavy machine guns are even more expensive, with 1 star coin for 5 rounds. Sure enough, fighting is all about financial resources. In the middle of the night, The second Tiger H9 off-road vehicle was offline. Li Xiao immediately added 80,000 durability to it and allocated the vehicle to Zhao Feipen. In addition to his 3 scouts, he also transferred a machine gunner with 20,000 health. Now the heavy machine gun is his only heavy firepower. Yan Yizhao's QBU-101 has run out of bullets and can only be placed in the warehouse and used later in the early morning. Li Unian sent a voice message, "Boss. The number of people has been counted. Including the 4 of us, there are 11 people in total, and the participating forces are about 380 people. This number is the maximum number of people they can send after deducting the normal garrison forces in their base." Chapter 48 Kinluming. From what I learned from Dongliu, the opponent's troops are far more powerful than ours. Are we sure they can beat us? Li Unian expressed doubts. Can beat it? Don't worry, you are only responsible for rear support and leave the rest to me. Okay then, I'll mobilize them right away. Where is the assembly point? Li Xiao heard this and gave Li Unian the coordinates. They were the coordinates of the transfer field, the most suitable gathering place. Early in the morning, Li Unian and several team members from the 5th level base had arrived at the transfer site. These guys were a mixture of civilian off-road vehicles and all-terrain vehicles, and initially had good maneuverability. Li Xiao has 2 Tiger off-road vehicles and 10 all-terrain motorcycles, forming a full platoon. Yun Dongliu and Yun Ying's troops did not come over because they were close to Qiaozhen and were on standby there. The journey of more than 10 kilometers took about half an hour to arrive. The main reason was that they had to constantly avoid the patrols of the Black Hawk Empire on the way. Their troops were originally small, so naturally they could not fight with the patrols halfway along the way. After successfully reuniting with the Yun Dongliu brothers and sisters, Li Xiao immediately asked him, "What is the situation in Qiao Town now?" 40 or 50 engineers from the looming team are working. In addition, there are more than 60 infantrymen guarding the front and rear intersections. Li Xiao looked at the force distribution map drawn by Yun Dongliu, and immediately ordered on the team channel, "Every team is ready to fight. My military off-road vehicle will attack first, and you will follow up to deal with the remaining enemies as quickly as possible." Receive. Clear. The team members in the team channel responded in unison, and Li Xiao nodded with satisfaction. The team should have the consciousness to enforce orders and prohibitions. Moreover, this is a matter of human life and nature, and military management is very necessary. After the operation was deployed, hundreds of vehicles of various sizes and shapes went straight to Qiao Town. Small groups of players who occasionally appeared along the way immediately retreated when they saw them. Even patrols without armored vehicles also dispersed. With such a big movement, it seemed that some players had received the message before they even got close to Qiao Town. They immediately gathered their original troops and set up roadblocks at the northern entrance of Qiao Town, trying to prevent the troops from entering. However, Di Yun and Zhao Fipeng's 2 super off-road vehicles showed no sign of braking. They accelerated with all their strength and drove away the several scrap vehicles they had dragged over in a panic. The heavy machine guns and the defenders at the stuck point exchanged fire at close range. The defenders at the stuck point had several squad light machine guns, and Leng He and the others not only suffered a loss in firepower, but also lost their health. The defense line collapsed immediately. Li Xiao did not let Di Yun and the others be too exhausted, and directed them to enter Qiaozhen to eliminate the engineering soldiers scattered everywhere. As for Lu Ming's combat troops, they were handed over to the large forces that arrived later. It only took half an hour for all the looming troops in Qiao Town to be cleared. Standing at the gate of the Qiao Town police station, Li Xiao said to all the team members, "We will wait for the looming troops to come to the door. I will arrange a defense." He glanced at Yun Dongliu. In fact, they had already made arrangements last night. First of all, Yun Dongliu's troops are monitoring the national highway in the southwest of Qiao Town and report the situation at any time. Secondly, Li Xiao pointed to the entrance of the town to the south. As expected, the troops of looming team will not detour, but go straight to this entrance. So we focus on setting up the defense line here, and at the same time, we must use both sides' residential buildings and abandoned vehicles on the street to stop the enemy. After speaking, Li Xiao motioned to fleeting time to continue. It was probably the first time that Li Unian spoke in front of hundreds of people. He was a little nervous. He paused for a few seconds before saying, "Then the mobile force. Later I will recruit 3 troops to join me to control the northern entrance first, and then reinforce the south side according to the situation. That's it. War is a matter of life and death. It has been a month now and everyone no longer treats the world as a game. Someone has made special statistics and concluded after collecting data from thousands of chat channels that tens of thousands of time travelers die every day. And this is just a conservative estimate, and it is only within the territory of Shanghai Republic. With the development of military power, more people will die in the future, so those who join the team will cherish their lives extremely, and be more united, serious. Just like now when Li Xiao issues combat orders, none of the players object, because they need teamwork to fight for more benefits for themselves. 2 hours later, news spread from Yongchang that a mighty force of more than 700 people was quickly arriving. There were 60 or 70 civilian off-road vehicles alone, followed by hundreds of all-terrain vehicles. There are also a number of miscellaneous vehicles, are more than 700 people, but we have underestimated the Luming team. It seems that the opponent must have more than 30 troops. Li Xiao didn't take it seriously when he heard this number, but fleeting time didn't look relaxed. Lao Xiao, your troops are twice as strong as ours. Can you handle it? I said. You only need auxiliary attacks, I will do the main attack. With that said, Li Xiao added the 10,000 health points and the life pool to Leng He and the other machine gunner respectively, leaving only a fraction of 6,000 points, so that they would each have 24,000 health points. Yun Dongliu quickly withdrew, and everyone stood ready. About 10 minutes later, the troops of Lu Ming's team appeared at the end of the road. Li Xiao originally thought that the Lu Ming team would attack when they came up, but he didn't expect that their troops stopped a mile away. Instead, an off-road vehicle carrying 2 people with a white flag arrived outside the town. Lao Xiao, what are they doing? 700 people came here just to surrender, Li Xiao said speechlessly. You have a good idea. This is obviously a negotiation. Negotiation? Just talk. If you want to fight, just fight. It won't take all the effort. Li Xiao's strong ideological indoctrination made Liu Nian more courageous. Li Xiao pondered for a moment, then got into Di Yun's Tiger H9 and drove out. The two parties stopped 20 meters apart in front of a bus stop outside a town. Through the car window, Li Xiao saw a young man with glasses and short silver wavy hair opposite him. He looked very young, in his early 20s at most. The other party was very courageous. He got out of the car without hesitation and shouted to Li Xiao, I am Qin Luming, captain of Luming team. Please come out and meet with a person in charge of your team. Li Xiao thought for a moment that he still had 6,000 health points, and it would not be easy for the opponent to attack him instantly, so he opened the door and got out of the car. I'm Li Xiao, tell me what's going on. Qin Luming adjusted his glasses, looked at Li Xiao, and said calmly, Captain Li, everyone is living a difficult life now, and the army is also very difficult to raise. Our Luming team does not like to fight, but this does not mean that we are afraid of trouble. Qiao Zhen, we were the ones who settled in first, so we all have the advantage logically. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49. You won't know if it works until you try it. Speaking of this, he looked at Li Xiao's troops at the intersection of the town and said pointedly, I hope you can retreat despite the difficulties, otherwise we don't mind a fight. Huh. I thought you were here for peace talks. It turns out you came here specifically to warn us. You really bothered Captain Qin. I don't need to repeat the matter of strength first. In short, if you want Qiao Zhen, then come and attack. After Li Xiao turned around and was about to get in the car, Qin Luming frowned and raised his voice, I will give you another 5 minutes to think about it. After 5 minutes, each of you will settle down. The two cars turned around and headed towards each other. When Li Xiao saw Li Xiao returning, he went up to him and asked, what did that guy say? It's nothing. It's probably to tell us to be more conscious and not let him bully the younger ones. Li Xiao turned around and said to everyone, get ready to fight in 5 minutes. Di Yun, Zhao Fipeng, you guys, stop in the two-way lane of the highway and don't let a car break in. Clear. The morning sun was particularly dazzling, the town was silent, and even the chirping of insects and birds on the fields beside the road outside the town seemed to be much less frequent, but there was a strong smell of murder brewing in the air. As soon as the 5-minute countdown ended, nearly half of the first echelon of Luming team's more than 70 off-road vehicles launched an attack at the same time. At the same time, A large number of all-terrain vehicles began to outflank the defenders at the town entrance from the trails and fields on both sides of the road. A few hundred meters away, the soldiers on the off-road vehicle opened fire. Rifle and light machine gun bullets rained down on the two military off-road vehicles arranged by Li Xiao in the middle of the road and on the windows of private houses at the entrance of the town. Di Yun and Zhao Fipeng's cars jingled and were hit by hundreds of bullets in a moment, but Leng He still didn't fire. "Captain, there's something weird about those two cars. They were hit by hundreds of bullets but didn't explode." A few hundred meters outside the town, in a temporary headquarters composed of more than a dozen off-road vehicles, the deputy captain's voice came from Qin Luming's earphones. "That should be a new vehicle from the arsenal of a higher-level base. The durability is much higher, but it will definitely not exceed 10,000. Let the support team use a rocket launcher." "Clear." After Qin Luming finished speaking, he stuffed a piece of chocolate into his mouth. His eyes were extremely calm, as if the fierce gunshots in front did not exist. Two rockets flew from the attacking convoy, hitting two Tiger H-9s one after the other. The explosions, thick smoke and fireball obscured the off-road vehicles. The commander of the Luming team, who was responsible for organizing the attack, stood on the roof of the car behind and said excitedly, "Well done. The assault troops are on top. Clean out the people in the residential building for me." However, before he had time to be happy, two tongues of flame spurted out from the smoke, and the cars at the front immediately burst into flames at the same time. The Xiaoyao team players in the residential building also ordered to fire, and dense bullets flew towards the road. "How is this possible?" Qin Luming's originally confident expression was now a little uneasy. Not only did the two off-road vehicles in his telescope not turn into scrap metal, they were no different from before. The heavy machine gun dismounts the frame gun and concentrates fire. Qin Luming issued the order again, and dozens of people got out of more than a dozen vehicles in the second echelon, carrying heavy machine and guns, placing them on the hood of the off-road vehicle. Boxes of machine gun ammunition boxes were moved in front of them in less than a minute. More than a dozen heavy machine guns opened fire. The intensity of the firepower was quite terrifying. They were all hit on the two Tiger H-9s, and their durability values dropped like crazy. Seeing this situation, Li Xiao quickly added 100,000 yuan to Zhao Fipeng's car to increase its durability, and at the same time ordered Di Yun and Zhao Fipeng to take the initiative. Of course Di Yun understood what Li Xiao meant, and greeted Zhao Fipeng, and the two off-road vehicles rammed directly into the Luming team's vehicle formation. Originally, the team of Luming team had already accelerated again, but unexpectedly the opponent launched a charge, and the two sides collided with each other within a few seconds. This situation caused the gun lines of the dozen heavy machine guns and countless rifles in the rear to overlap with his teammates, and were blocked by his own vehicles, unable to hit Di Yun and the others at all at the same time. The only people who could hit the Tiger H-9 were 20 or 30 rifles and two heavy machine guns. But when Lang's two heavy machine guns exploded at close range, the windows of these ordinary civilians' off-road vehicles were not bulletproof at all. Except for two. The driver of the car and the troops carrying guns were all blasted. They even took advantage of the Tiger H-9's stronger horsepower and stronger frame to forcefully push away the scrapped vehicle in front and drive forward. What kind of car is this? How can it not be destroyed? All the players observing from the back were shocked, and they all wondered if their bullets were made of rubber. Qin Luming kept calculating the durability consumption of the two Tiger H-9s in his mind. When he found that the durability of the two cars had been reduced to 100,000 points and still did not explode, his back felt cold. Li Xiao added the last 200,000 durability to both vehicles. Di Yun and the others blew up all the dozens of vehicles in the first echelon. After all the troops were wiped out, they even rushed forward with raindrops of bullets without hesitation. On the face of the second echelon, obviously, who can withstand a confrontation with Leng He, who has 20,000 to 30,000 horsepower? In less than half a minute, all these machine gunners were dead, and the outflanking force that had been relying on the heavy fire cover of friendly forces on the main road now became an isolated enemy without the suppression of heavy machine guns and large enemy troops. The soldiers of Xiaoyao team used bunkers to fight without bunkers. Their condescending advantage blocked the enemy troops dozens of meters away. Qin Luming didn't expect that in just 3 or 2 minutes, what seemed like a great advantage would be reversed. He stared at the two off-road vehicles that looked like mobile bunkers, feeling that his imagination of the world was not enough. That's it, Qin Luming seemed to have made up his mind, and immediately ordered a ceasefire on the team channel, and all troops retreated. The battle ended with a retreat of Lu Ming's team, but their remaining 300 soldiers did not leave. Li Xiao was just trying to get Di Yun and Zhao Fipeng to withdraw when he suddenly received a friend request. When he opened it, he saw that it was from Qin Luming. He thought for a moment and clicked agree. Soon Qin Luming's voice request was sent, and Li Xiao knew what Qin Luming wanted to say without having to guess. Very good. I didn't expect Captain Li to be so secretive. I'm curious, are your two cars made of titanium alloy? Li Xiao picked his ears, looked at the gathering point of the looming team in the distance, and smiled slightly. You want to know? Come in and capture me, maybe I will tell you. Of course, Qin Luming would not naively think that Li Xiao would tell him the answer. The reason why he said this was just to have a transfer for what he would say next. That doesn't matter anymore. The winner is the king and the loser is the enemy. I have nothing to say. But what I want to say is that I believe your two cars are not invincible. If I have more heavy firepower, you will definitely win. Will collapse. Li Xiao paused for 2 seconds. Qin Luming was still smart. He suddenly remembered that he had made a stupid mistake just now. Chapter 50 I want your people. That is, he shouldn't have hurriedly recalled the two Tiger H9s. This inadvertent move directly exposed to Qin Luming that the two vehicles were in bad condition. But the two vehicles did have less than 30,000 horsepower left, and Zhao Fipeng's was only more than 10,000. If they were not recalled, the opponent would surely explode once they launched another charge. In this situation, Qin Luming might have some chance of winning if he went all out. After all, the opponent had a lot of all-terrain vehicles. If they rushed to a close point and fought, it was really uncertain who would win or lose. But as the leader of a team, Qin Luming did not take this risk, but chose to negotiate again. Now our surface forces seem to be evenly matched, but in fact I still have more than 200 troops who can support at any time, but I don't want to bury all the advantages of the team for a Qiao town, so I have a suggestion to see if you can accept it. Equally divided, Li Xiao blurted out. He had already guessed it. Yes, split equally, Qin Luming said in a deep voice. You should know that there are many teams around us who are eyeing us covetously. Once they smell the smell, they will rush over. The result of our two families fighting can only be to prepare wedding clothes for others. The proposal is good, but if you can add a condition, maybe I can consider it. What condition? Li Xiao stretched out his index finger and hooked it towards the distance. You join my team and share resources. What? Qin Luming never expected that the other party's appetite would be so big, and he was already thinking about swallowing up his team. Don't be surprised. I can produce a car as tough as today every day, and I still have dozens of soldiers as tough as this. Today, my two cars can destroy half of your troops, and tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, I can flatten your base. You dare? Qin Luming was anxious. He had lost his previous calm mentality. This indestructible off-road vehicle made his self-confidence collapse bit by bit. Actually, there's nothing to worry about. I believe in one thing, if you can't beat them, then join them. If you choose to join me because you can't beat them, I will definitely welcome you with open doors, because at least you are a smart person, and it's just right that we haven't lost a single player today and haven't made any deep grudges. Li Xiao's words made Qin Luming stunned for a long time. The words of the man named Li Xiao on the opposite side were too rude, but the other party had unpredictable strength. Faced with Li Xiao's vague threatening remarks, Qin Luming, who thought he was quite shrewd, didn't know how to choose for a while. In the second week of coming to this world, he established a looming team. At first, he just thought that there would be strength in numbers. But as more members developed, he gradually became ambitious and eager to make a difference in this world. Because he didn't want to be just a small transparent person in the workplace like before. Is it going to end so hastily? Qin Luming looked gloomy, without the previous spirit. He said lightly, let me think about it and then reply to you. Okay, I'll be waiting for you anytime. Li Xiao hung up the voice, feeling happy. He didn't expect that Qin Luming would be shaken by his casual talk. Sure enough, death would prompt most people to make difficult decisions in the past. Hey, why do I feel a bit like a villain in this behavior? Li Xiao shook his head. Old Xiao and the others have retreated. Aren't there still half of them? Why don't they continue to fight? Li Unian said with lingering feelings. Just now, it was Li Xiao who showed alone. Sure enough, they could only play auxiliary. He who knows the times is a hero. Qin Luming may be a very rational hero, Li Xiao said so. He didn't care whether Qin Luming agreed to join the Xiao Yao team. He cared about where the next target was. The bigger the team, the heavier the responsibility. Resources, diplomacy, and team relations all need to be considered, especially for resources. The number of people and resource quotas of the team must be kept above the normal level, otherwise the team cannot develop for a long time, which puts forward requirements for resource territory. After the looming team was completely evacuated, Li Xiao immediately said to Liunian, Qiao Town is the first collective resource area conquered by our Xiao team. Although the total resources are only more than 20,000, each person can get more than 1,100 per day. Tell everyone to send appropriate engineers to collect them. Okay, Liunian actually took out a notebook. It seems that the deputy captain is very attentive. By the way, tell them that everyone should collect their own share. Anyone who eats more than they should be warned for the first time and expelled for the second time. Don't worry, I have already drafted the team rules. I will send them to you in the evening and we will discuss it again. At this time, Yun Dongliu also came over. Captain, what do you think the troops will do next? Should they continue to stay here to deter or withdraw? There is no need to send garrisons here. The looming team will never dare to come again. If anyone else dares to touch our territory, I will definitely let him know how authentic the Xiao team's house raiding skills are, Li Xiao said to everyone confidently. In fact, it only takes about 10 or 20 minutes to drive to Qiao Town. Sending garrisons will allow the sneak attackers to take advantage, just like today. In the restaurant at night, the soldiers ate venison dumplings made by Du Zidan, and they were all in high spirits. Li Xiao was also very happy and immediately bought juice at the trading center to celebrate. It's not that he didn't want to buy wine, but the current situation did not allow for any carelessness. During the meal, Li Xiao also counted today's gains. In addition to the vehicle durability of about 110,000, the health value reached 40,000 points. Li Xiao gave all the equipment of the looming team soldiers who were killed to the team members. His life pool is growing relatively fast now. As long as there are enough teammates, he will be strong enough. This is also the main reason why Li Xiao threatened Qin Luming to join his team. Speak of the devil will come. Li Xiao put down his bowl and Qin Luming's voice came. How about it, Captain Qin? Have you thought about it? Li Xiao asked leisurely. Captain Li, after negotiation, we agreed to join your team, but I must serve as the deputy captain. Qin Luming's voice was a little depressed, but his words were firm. Sorry, the deputy captain is already there, and you don't seem to have the right to choose. You can only agree to join or not. Li Xiao directly refused. Command and management rights are the top priority. How can they be changed at will? Qin Luming was so angry that he couldn't speak. The words he had prepared seemed to be useless now. Li Xiao said slowly at this time, don't worry, you and your teammates will not lose out if you join my team. I will give 100 star points to everyone every week. At the same time, our goal is not just these small places. I can guarantee that in the next month, your daily resource income will definitely increase to more than 10,000. Aren't you afraid that I will betray you? Qin Luming said coldly, if I reveal the news to other teams when you are acting collectively, you may not be so relaxed. Li Xiao said nonchalantly, it's okay, I want your people, not your hearts. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.